At Food Revolution Network, our mission is healthy, ethical, and sustainable food for everyone who eats. We want kids to learn about healthy food in school. We want doctors to learn how nutrition impacts health in medical school. We want the routine use of antibiotics banned from factory farms. We want a world where everyone, regardless of their ethnic or economic background, has knowledge of and access to healthy food for their family. We want a world in which heart disease, cancer, Alzheimer's, obesity, and diabetes are rare, and in which vibrant health is the status quo. We're spreading the word and standing for change. Join this movement and support this mission. Welcome, everybody. I'm Ocean Robbins, co-founder and CEO of Food Revolution Network. So excited to be here with some incredible, courageous, committed human beings. You are among friends. You are part of a convergence of people who care enough to spend their precious time and bring their precious attention to learning how we can make a bigger contribution on this planet, how we can contribute to healthy, ethical, and sustainable food for everybody. Whether this is your first time with us or you've been part of Food Revolution Network for years, you're going to learn so much in these next 3 days. Now, we held a workshop in August on plant-based coaching. This is going to be all new content, new insights, new tools to support your journey. If you were part of the August workshop, awesome. We're going further here. If you weren't, no problem. You're exactly where you need to be. You're going to get so much out of this. It's not a prerequisite, but is complementary. Now, here's what I want you to know right from the start. This work matters. The world needs more people who understand how food can heal, who can help others to make lasting change, who can lead with compassion and integrity and courage. And I think that's why you're here. Now, if you're on Zoom, take a moment right now to go ahead and introduce yourself in the chat. Share your name, where you're joining us from, and if you'd like one thing you're hoping to get from this workshop. We look forward to hearing from you. And also, if you're on the broadcast page, you can do the same thing in the comment section, and there's a button there to refresh the comments so you can see the most recent ones that have been submitted. Let's see, we heard from, oh, it's a lot coming in fast. Maria from California, Jewel from California, Arietta from Greece, Robin from New York, Yvonne, Kendra from St. Louis, Leslie from South Texas, Jessica from Burlington, Vermont, Cornelia from Sweden, Beth from Iowa. Welcome, everybody. So many wonderful people. Oh my gosh, there's already hundreds of messages. Can't keep up with all of them, but I want you to feel the potency of that. If you've ever felt like a voice in the wilderness, if you've ever felt alone or lost or a little isolated for thinking that maybe we should eat a little differently as a society than most people do, you're not alone. There are 20,000 people signed up for this workshop. There are people all over the world who are joining this movement to change the way the world eats, and I am just so excited to be a part of this. Let yourself feel that. By the way, I do want to make sure for our team that we set it up so folks can post to everyone, not just hosts and panelists, because I'm seeing that people can't see each other's comments right now in the Zoom chat. So that's just a note to our team if we can tweak that. I believe we can, but I can't do it while I'm talking. Ariana said hello. Oh, let's see, Estonia, Tampa. Connie from Florida, so many wonderful posts. Okay, now I see posts that are visible to everyone. That is great. Luxembourg, people all over the world, folks. This is so exciting. Okay, so this community is coming together. Now, as a reminder, nothing you hear today in this workshop, any of the days of this workshop, is medical advice. We will at times share nutritional education. We'll share coaching insight. And of course, if you or someone you work with has a medical concern, consult with a qualified healthcare professional. Now, over these next 3 days, we're going to explore 3 pillars: nutrition, coaching, and impact. This workshop is brought to you by Food Revolution Network's Plant-Based Coaching Certificate, and a lot of what we'll be sharing comes from the framework we've developed through our years of hosting that program. So here's a bit of what's ahead. So today is day one, where we focus on purpose-driven coaching, real stories and real impact. We'll begin with a why with Brenda Davis, registered dietitian, who's going to share advanced nutrition strategies for vitality and longevity. Tracy Garrigan will introduce foundational coaching skills. And authenticity advocate Erin Weed will guide you toward your one word, a distilled expression of your purpose that can help you lead with clarity from the inside out. Day two, tomorrow, we'll focus on the inner work, nutrition and self-care in coaching. Dr. Michael Klopper will make nutrition science simple and actionable. Johannes Fisslinger will show how coaching can bring lifestyle medicine to life. And Dr. Howard Jacobson will teach you how to meet clients where they are with compassion and courage. Then day three, Success Your Way, will be about growing your coaching practice with integrity. We'll look at building a coaching practice that's purposeful and values aligned. We'll explore the ethics and complexities of artificial intelligence and how it can be a useful tool in coaching and in marketing so you can expand your impact. And we'll look at how to design coaching packages that reflect your values and support sustainable success. Each day also includes something I'm especially excited about, which is dynamic alumni panels hosted by coach mentor Makini Duewa. Our graduates are going to share honest and heartfelt stories from their healing and coaching journeys, real world stories. So you can hear from real people who are really doing it. Their transformations are powerful reminders of what becomes possible when purpose meets practice. And at the end of each day, Tracy and I are going to share a bit more about the plant-based coaching certificate. We will answer your questions live, and we'll also let you know how you can book a free clarity call with someone from our team if you are interested in a one-on-one conversation to explore whether it might be a good fit for your life and goals. Now, I want to be completely honest with you. I am hoping that by the end of these 3 days, many of you will feel called to take the next step and join us in the plant-based coaching certificate. Not because we need to fill seats, but because we believe that this training can change your life, and through you can change a whole lot of other lives. We think that the world needs more people who can guide others through the confusion around food and health, who can hold a space for real transformation, people who can lead with knowledge and with heart. And I think you might be one of those people. So this workshop is completely free. It will be massively valuable. We guarantee that. And it will be complete on its own. You're going to walk away from these 3 days with tools you can use immediately. And if we do our job well over these 3 days, I hope you will see a place for yourself in this work. I hope you will feel the pull to go deeper, and I hope you'll consider joining us in the plant-based coaching certificate that starts in January. Now, let me tell you a little more about why this matters so much to me personally. So, as you all know, I'm Ocean Robbins, co-founder and CEO of Food Revolution Network. If you're on Zoom and you've been touched by Food Revolution Network's work in some way in your life, please feel free to go ahead and put a heart up there so folks can see you, feel the love. It's been such an incredible joy to share in this work over these last years. We started it in 2012, but going back a little bit further, I was born in a log cabin my parents built. I was raised on homegrown food. I was shaped by a lifelong commitment to health, to sustainability, and to justice. And this year, in June, my life changed in a huge way. On June 11th, my dad, my colleague, my mentor, my dear friend, John Robbins, left his earthly body. And his death cracked my heart wide open. It deepened my commitment to this mission in ways that I'm still discovering. It was like something we had done together, you know, since Diet for a New America came through him in 1987 and became a runaway bestseller and helped launch the modern health food movement. It's been something that came through him and that I felt so aligned with that we went on to lead the movement together. And then losing him from his earthly body just showed me so powerfully my gratitude for what he had brought into my life, and also opened up all kinds of questions. Who am I, and what does this mean now? And it's become clearer and clearer to me that the torch that I want to carry forward isn't the torch of a soloist. It's collaboration, it's community, it's a torch that we are carrying together. He didn't hand that torch only to me. In some ways, he handed it to all of us. You know, my dad and I spent decades working to help people change their lives and to live longer and to feel better and to thrive. We also learned something really important along the way, which is that for a lot of people, the challenge isn't just knowing what to do, it's doing what they know. You know, our habits are woven into our relationships and our identities and our histories. And sometimes it really does take a guide, a coach, a community, a moment of clarity to help us shift course, and not just shift course, but stay the course. And that's why we created the plant-based coaching certificate to kind of bridge that gap between knowledge and action, to equip heart-centered leaders like you with the tools and the support and the confidence that you need to make a lasting difference. I believe that we are here not just to live, but to live on purpose. There's the old saying that the two most important days of your life are the day you were born and the day you discover why you were born. I think that right now our world is crying out for healing. So many people are suffering from diseases that, quite frankly, as you're going to learn more about today, may not be necessary. So if you're here for your own growth, if you're here to support someone you love, or if you're here because you feel called to coach others or to help join and build this plant-based coaching movement, you're in the right place. This workshop is our gift to you. It's part of a legacy that I now carry, that we now carry with fierce love and with unshakable resolve. Now, a few logistics. If you're on Zoom with us, feel free to drop questions in the Q&A box anytime. You will find the icon at the bottom of your screen. And we will not, the chat is for folks to be able to just share and engage with each other. We'll be reviewing that, posting links there periodically, but we're not going to be moderating it for questions. So if you have questions as we go through the day, post them in the Q&A box on Zoom. If you're joining us on the broadcast page, our moderator Sky will bring questions from there on over to the Zoom room. The chat will stay open throughout the day so you can connect with each other. And if you need support in terms of the plant-based coaching certificate or other aspects of this journey, you can email us at certificate@foodrevolution.org. We are here for you. Now, okay, here we go. I want to invite you to take a deep breath with me, to let yourself really arrive in this moment. Because I don't believe that any workshop is just about transfer of information. It's about presence. It's about connection. I'm here with you live right now. So are, you know, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of other people, thousands of other people. Let's feel this room. Let's feel this space. Let yourself shut off distractions. Allow yourself to be fully present for these 3 hours, today, tomorrow, and Thursday. And let's dive in together. At the heart of our approach in this journey is what we call the PBCC, Plant-Based Coaching Certificate Model, which is 3 essential pillars. Nutrition expertise, or education, where we develop a strong foundation in plant-based nutrition and learning how to apply it with clarity and confidence. Number 2 is coaching. That's the transformation. That's building evidence-based coaching skills rooted in the science of behavior change and grounded in real-world practice. Number 3 is impact, amplification, gaining the tools and the mindset and the vision to turn knowledge into change in your life, your work, your community, so you can make a living, so you can make a difference, so you can spread the word, so you can change lives. This is our proven formula for transformation, and we've created the world's most comprehensive training program to teach it. And in this workshop, we're going to share some of the highlights we've gleaned through that body of work. You know, right now, millions of people are trying to take care of their health in a system that's getting harder and harder to navigate. In the United States, health insurance premiums are projected to surge by 10 to 15% in the coming year, much more for some individuals. Families are paying more, employers are paying more, and yet people are getting less. We're getting shorter visits, longer lag time before we can even schedule appointments, more confusion, more medication, less real solutions. And the downstream effects of this are devastating. Medical debt has become the #1 cause of personal bankruptcy in America. 1 in 4 adults say they need medical care, say that they are avoiding medical care because of how much it costs. But chronic conditions keep on rising. Type 2 diabetes, heart disease, autoimmune conditions, anxiety, depression, and other mental health disorders are affecting people across every demographic, every ethnicity, every income level. And behind every one of these numbers is somebody who's scared or tired or losing hope. Maybe someone in your family, someone you've watched struggle, someone you wish you could help, a loved one who knows what they should be doing but can't seem to make the changes stick even when their life is on the line. We have people who are having amputations from diabetes when they can't change their diets, even if they know they should. People juggling medication lists, trying new diets, reading conflicting advice online, getting more and more confused, and still not feeling any better. And our healthcare system, as committed as its professionals are, just cannot keep up. Doctors and nurses are burning out in record numbers. They're asked to treat complicated lifestyle-driven diseases in 8-minute appointments. Most of them receive almost no formal training in nutrition, lifestyle, or the science of behavior change. Even if they know that patients should eat more vegetables or less processed junk, they don't know how to help them actually do that. They just say, here, eat better and good luck with that. But here's a prescription for drugs that you can take that will cost an arm and a leg. But here's a pharmacy. They can tell them how to do that, right? There's money in drugs. There's not money in broccoli to speak of, right? So people are falling through the cracks, and not because people don't care, not because they're not trying, not because our healthcare system set out to kill people. No, because no one is giving patients the time or the tools or the partnership they need to translate knowledge into action. But something else is happening too, something I think is incredibly hopeful. As healthcare costs are climbing and trust in the system is declining, more and more people are turning to root cause and grassroots health solutions. Clinics are starting to integrate health coaching. Hospitals are hiring behavior change specialists. Employers are starting to invest in prevention, and people everywhere are now asking new questions like, what if healing is possible? What if food is medicine? What if I don't have to do this alone? Millions of people today don't just want information, they want transformation, they want hope, they want guidance. They want somebody who can walk beside them and help them make changes that actually last. And if employers are wanting change too, they want to reduce their healthcare costs, they want their employees to be more productive and more resilient. They're looking to get help to increase the wellness of their team members. And when they do that, they're actually finding that it increases team member loyalty and staff satisfaction. So folks, for all of these reasons and so many more, we believe that coaching has now become essential. It's the bridge between intention and action, between knowing and doing, and a skilled coach can help somebody connect with their deeper motivation, their why, and then support them through the consistent steps that make healing sustainable. It can bring humanity back into healthcare, offering presence, partnership, accountability, and cultivating intrinsic motivation. And that, my friends, is why we are here. And that's why we created this workshop and why we think it is so important. You know, in the plant-based coaching certificate, we're all about training people to implement all that we are talking about in this workshop for real lasting transformation, because we think that our healthcare system desperately needs this. We think people's lives are on the line, and it is time for us to step up together to respond to the moment. So I want to ask you, why is this all important to you? Why did you take your precious sacred time and your attention to spend this time with us here? What are you hoping to get out of this journey? You know, there's a saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Your curiosity is the most powerful force here. Not what we say, not what we do, what you bring. Your capacity to learn, to participate, and to engage. Now, we've got a workbook here, a special workbook for this workshop. It's a space to capture key takeaways and reflect on what's landing for you. And you're going to find some powerful prompts there to journal about later. We'll post the link in the chat here shortly in case you haven't downloaded yet or missed it in our emails leading up to today. You'll also find a link to it posted on the broadcast page. Of course, you're welcome to take notes in whatever way works best for you, but this is a great way to do it. And if you want to jot down a word or phrase in your workbook that captures your intention right now, it could be fun to see how it evolves as we go along. Now I want to introduce the incredible Tracy Garrigan, our founding director and program manager for the Plant-Based Coaching Certificate. Tracy is a certified holistic health coach with over 14 years of experience coaching clients around the world. She's developed programs for corporate wellness and fitness settings. She's created powerful online content. She's worked with integrative health centers to bring coaching to hundreds of patients. She's also helped to develop some of Food Revolution Network's most beloved programs like Healthy Heart and Tackling Type 2, as well as our Whole Life Club. And over the past 3 years, she has led our world-class plant-based coaching certificate training with heart, with wisdom, with deep expertise. It is a privilege to consider her a friend and a colleague. Tracy, welcome.
Thank you so much for that, Ocean. Wow, what a powerful introduction today. I literally had goosebumps. And I want to take a moment just to say hi and welcome everybody and highlight why our approach at FRN and PBCC is different than most other coaching certificates out there and why it's also so effective. So at the heart of our program is clear, evidence-based focus on whole food, plant-based nutrition. So we teach the most up-to-date science in partnership with world-class experts, some you'll be meeting throughout the workshop. And we're proud to be a global leader in this space. Some would even say we wrote the book, right, Ocean? Our students don't just
Yep.
gain knowledge, they learn how to separate fact from fiction and build lasting nutritional confidence, starting right in their own kitchens. So over the course of the next few days, you're going to get a powerful taste of what this looks like in action. We also have a big tent philosophy here. Yes, we have mastered the art and science of whole food plant-based living, but we also recognize that everyone is on their own journey. So you don't have to be 100% vegan or, like Ocean will say, take a purity pact to want to eat more plants, to want to be more healthy, to want to take a step more closer to a plant predominant lifestyle. And that's something that we really celebrate. So our coaches are trained to be inclusive and support real people in the real world with flexibility, compassion, and without judgment, no matter where they are on the dietary spectrum or how far they want to go with making plants the center of their plates. We also focus on the impact of chronic disease and planetary health. When it comes to chronic disease, we know whole food plant-based eating has the strongest body of evidence behind it. It's shown to positively impact the widest range of lifestyle-driven conditions and even reduce all-cause mortality. And that's why whole food plant-based nutrition is a pillar of the American College of Lifestyle Medicine and why we dive deep into the science with our expert faculty. But the impact of that choice doesn't stop there. A shift towards plant-based eating also plays a powerful role in protecting our planet and in reducing harm to animals. In our program, we hold the space for all of these truths, and we honor the connection between our choices and the world around us. Because when we nourish ourselves, we also have the opportunity to nourish the planet and to extend compassion to all living beings. And now, to share more concretely what this all means, let's kick off today's presentations. Our first presenter is Brenda Davis, registered dietitian and lead faculty for PBCC's nutrition pillar. She is a world-leading plant-based trailblazer and an internationally acclaimed researcher and speaker. She's also a prolific writer, and she's best known for best-selling books Becoming Vegan. And her latest book, Plant Powered Protein, was released in April 2023. Her books have sold nearly 1 million copies and have been translated into 15 languages. And she is the go-to for people seeking to make a healthy plant-based transition. Brenda has also been the lead dietitian in a diabetes intervention research project in the Marshall Islands, authored and co-authored numerous professional and lay articles, is a past chair of Vegetarian Nutrition Dietetic Practice Group of the American Dietetic Association, And she was also the recipient of the 2022 Luminary Award at the International Plant-Based Nutrition Healthcare Conference. Today, she's going to share some advanced strategies to optimize health and promote longevity. So our coaches can help people move beyond disease to support a vibrant, energized life through a whole food plant-based diet. And Brenda is going to stay on to answer some of your questions after her talk. So feel free to use that Q&A box and drop any questions you have for her in the chat anytime along the way. Welcome, Brenda. I am so honored to have you here with us today.
Thank you so much, Tracy. I am very honored to be with you and to be with people from all over the world. Welcome, everyone, and I will get right to it because I don't have a lot to get through. I will share my slides. Uh-oh. Oh, there it is. And from beginning. There we go. I think we've got it. So my talk today is called Advanced Plant-Based Strategies for Longevity and Vitality. And this is what we know at this point in time. Chronic diseases account for 74% of all deaths globally. And in the United States, nearly 95% of older adults have at least one chronic condition, and nearly 80% have two or more. And as Ocean said, these conditions are largely preventable. And I think this really got on the radar of health professionals after the release of the European Post-Am study in 2009. And this was a study of over 23,000 individuals. And the researchers examined 4 lifestyle factors: a healthy diet, which they defined as a high intake of vegetable, fruits, and whole grains, and a low intake of red and processed meat; never smoking; regular physical activity; and having a BMI under 30, in other words, not being obese. And what they found was that people with all 4 of these healthy factors had a 78%, that's almost 80%, lower risk of developing chronic diseases. And the risk was actually reduced by 93% for type 2 diabetes, 81% for heart disease or myocardial infarction specifically, 50% for stroke, and 36% for cancer. Amazing. And then in 2014, one of the world's leading experts on health and nutrition, Dr. David Katz, was asked to summarize the evidence to date. And he wrote an article called "Can We Say What Diet is Best for Health?" And this article can be summarized in this one sentence: a diet of minimally processed foods, close to nature, predominantly plants, is decisively associated with health promotion and disease prevention. And health authorities all around the world agree. If you look at the national recommendations of various governments, it sounds a bit like a broken record. In Brazil, eat foods mainly of plant origin. Canada, healthy eating patterns include mostly plant-based foods. China, cut meat by 50%. Denmark, eat plant-rich, varied, and not too much. Estonia, eat plant-based, biologically diverse, local, and seasonal. Germany, choose mostly plant-based foods. The Netherlands, eat less meat and more plant-based foods. Qatar, emphasize a plant-based diet. Taiwan, plant-based diets are needed to reach the 2050 net zero target. The UK, eat more plant-based foods. And in fact, in 2025, the scientific report of the Dietary Guidelines Advisory Committee stated the following: encourage dietary patterns that emphasize plant-based foods, such as plant-based proteins, whole grains, and vegetables. Substitution or replacement of meat with plant-based foods, such as plant-based proteins, whole grains, or vegetables, is associated with favorable cardiovascular outcomes. The bottom line is we know enough. We know enough to eat plants and begin to reclaim our health. And diet quality really does matter. Not all plant-based diets are created equal. The most healthful plant-based diets are those that are based on whole and minimally processed plant foods. Highly processed plant-based diets actually have no advantage over Western-style diets in terms of longevity or disease risk reduction. They certainly do in terms of ecological outcomes or outcomes for animals, but not necessarily for longevity or disease risk reduction. So now we're going to move on to looking at 7 practical nutrition strategies for longevity and vitality. And strategy number 1 is to eat mostly whole and minimally processed plant foods and to minimize low nutrient ultra-processed foods. So why? Well, it's really very simple. Whole and minimally processed plant foods are nutrient dense and rich in the factors that are really protective, like fiber and prebiotics, phytochemicals, and antioxidants. So we want the diet to be really heavy in fruits and vegetables. At least half your plate should be colorful, a diverse variety of colorful fruits and vegetables. We want up to a quarter of the plate to be whole grains and predominantly intact whole grains or unprocessed whole grains. And then legumes and protein-rich choices to be at least a quarter of the plate. And we want to really emphasize legumes like beans and lentils and products made from those foods like tofu and tempeh. And then we want to add in a handful of nuts and seeds, about an ounce or 2 daily or more for people that need more calories. And then we want to anoint it all with generous amounts of herbs and spices. And so here's what it looks like. You can see half the plate, fruits and vegetables, a little over a quarter of the plate between legumes, nuts, and seeds, and just under a quarter of the plate, grains and starches. And ensuring adequacy is really about ensuring that we're choosing high quality foods, a sufficient quantity of food, and a wide variety of food. And then, of course, adding in reliable sources of nutrients that may be lacking even if we eat everything on that plate. So we call these add-ons, and we're talking about vitamin B12, iodine, vitamin D, and possibly the long-chain omega-3 fatty acids. The other thing here is to minimize low nutrient ultra processed foods. And what we're talking, and the reason why is these ultra processed foods tend to work against us. They provide very few beneficial dietary components, but they're loaded with potentially harmful components, such as unhealthy fats like saturated fat, trans fatty acids, refined carbohydrates, salt, food additives, chemical contaminants, and the products of high temperature cooking. And the reason we want to reduce these is because they increase the risk of death and disease. There was actually a 2024 umbrella review of 45 meta-analyses that reported that UPFs are directly linked to 32 harmful health effects, including an increased risk of mortality and an increased risk of almost every chronic disease you can think of. And UPFs are physically addictive. The flavors that are concentrated in UPFs are actually generally very dilute in nature. But when these flavors are combined in a single food, it makes them hyper palatable and it makes them very difficult to stop eating. UPFs can actually cause cravings that evoke similar levels of dopamine in the brain to those seen with nicotine and alcohol. And American diets, it may come as a shock to a lot of people, but they're largely UPFs. 60% of calories in the typical American diet come from UPFs, with the highest quintile being in the range of over 80%. But I think it's important to recognize that not all foods that are classified as UPFs are harmful. Some foods classified as UPFs are actually beneficial. Although they're processed, the food ingredients are high quality and they fill important nutrition gaps. And good examples would be unsweetened fortified soy milk, for example, that is a really wonderful source of protein, calcium, vitamin D, and B12. And then some of the plant-based meat alternatives, especially those made with mainly whole foods, that are also high in protein, B12, and often iron and zinc as well. Strategy number 2 is to choose smart carbs and to prioritize dietary fiber and fiber diversity. And I think, many of us recognize that popular opinion suggests carbohydrates are bad news and people should minimize their intake. But I think this is really a huge mistake. The healthiest foods on the planet get most of their calories from carbohydrates. And the healthfulness of carbohydrates is really determined by the quality of those carbohydrates. So high quality carbohydrates are those that are intrinsic to whole plant foods, whether they be legumes, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, nuts, or seeds. These foods, of course, come packaged with fiber and prebiotics and phytochemicals and antioxidants. Low quality carbohydrates, on the other hand, are carbohydrates that have essentially been stripped of their protective components by food processing or refining before they're actually consumed. And this includes all the refined sugars, whether it's table sugars, syrups, or sugar-sweetened beverages, but it also includes refined starches like white flour products, white rice and white rice products, and also processed starchy vegetables like potato chips and corn puffs. Low quality carbohydrates increase our risk of overeating and obesity, metabolic associated fatty liver disease, insulin resistance and diabetes, and high triglycerides and heart disease. On the other hand, high quality carbohydrates are very consistently protective. There was a meta-analysis of 45 studies on whole grains that reported the risk of mortality for every 3 servings drops by 51% for diabetes mortality, by 22% for cardiovascular and respiratory disease mortality, and by 17% for all-cause mortality. For total cancer, it drops by 15%. And high-quality carbohydrates are our key sources of fiber. And as we know, fiber promotes regularity, but it does a whole lot more. It increases satiety, it reduces cravings, it reduces our risk of colorectal cancer, reduces blood cholesterol levels, stabilizes blood sugar, reduces risk of GI disorders, enhances immune function, lessens hormonal imbalances, and of course, most importantly, it builds and maintains a healthy gut microbiome, which impacts every body system. And we need more fiber. Americans average about 16 grams a day. Acceptable intakes are 14 grams per 1,000 calories, and that averages out to be about 38 grams for men and 25 for women. But optimal intakes are most likely in the range of at least 40 to 60 grams per day. And the greatest protection comes from eating a diversity of fiber-rich foods. And of course, animal products have absolutely no fiber at all. So carbohydrate common sense, make fiber-rich whole plant foods your primary sources of carbohydrates and minimize refined carbohydrates, both starches and sugars, especially those that are present in ultra-processed foods and beverages. Strategy number 3 is to optimize protein quantity and quality. So can we actually get enough protein from plants? And the answer is absolutely yes. Plants can provide ample protein at every stage of life. Plant-based eaters can meet protein needs simply by ensuring a variety of protein-rich choices over the course of a day and sufficient calories. And studies have actually shown that plant and animal protein sources are equally effective in promoting muscle hypertrophy or muscle gains when plant protein ingestion is sufficient. And usually that's around 1.5 grams per kilogram per day for those that are trying to build muscle. And this is Neme Delgado. He's actually been vegetarian since birth, vegan since 2015, and he's never eaten meat in his life. And to me, it looks like he's doing okay. So I think that's good evidence there. And when we look at, plant versus animal protein, plant protein actually has advantages. If you think about the food components that we want to maximize in the diet, like the fiber and phytochemicals and antioxidants and pre and probiotics, they tend to be either high or very high in legumes, and they tend to be pretty much absent from meat. When we look at the components that we're trying to minimize in the diet, like the saturated fat and trans fatty acids and the pro-inflammatory molecule Ne5GC and TMAO and so forth, these compounds tend to be lower absent from legumes, and they tend to be moderate to high in meat. And the evidence would bear this out. If we look at red and processed meat and mortality, we have a 2023 umbrella review of 40 meta-analyses that reported for every additional 3.5 ounce or 100-gram serving of red meat, type 2 diabetes increased 17%, coronary heart disease 15%, hypertension 14%, and stroke risk 12%. And for every additional 1 3/4 ounce or 50-gram serving of processed meat, type 2 diabetes increased 37%, coronary heart disease 27%, stroke 17%, and all-cause mortality 15%. And we see the exact opposite for legumes and mortality. There was a 2023 meta-analysis of 32 cohorts, over 1 million participants, that reported a 6% drop in mortality for every 50-gram or about a 1/4 cup serving of cooked legumes. And another study of people 70 plus reported a 7 to 8% reduction in mortality for every 20 grams, about 2 tablespoons of cooked legumes consumed. And based on this study, eating a cup of beans a day would reduce mortality by 60 to 68%. Strategy number 4 is to upgrade your fats. So type and quality of fat matters too, just like it does for carbohydrate and protein. So trans fatty acids, saturated fats, and oxidized fats are all associated with adverse health outcomes, whereas unsaturated fatty acids tend to reduce risk of chronic disease. The most healthful fats are poly and monounsaturated fats, and they are really concentrated predominantly in nutrient-dense whole plant foods. Concentrated fats and oils are also sources of poly and monounsaturated fats, but these foods are more calorically dense, less nutrient dense, and they have no fiber. Although they can be part of a healthy diet, we want to limit their use to some extent and get more of our fats from whole foods. The most harmful fats are trans fats, saturated fats, and oxidized or damaged fats, and they come mainly from animal products, fried foods, fast foods, and processed foods. And trans fatty acids, we often think of them as coming from processed foods, and this is really the industrially produced trans fatty acids, or ITFA, which were banned in the US in 2018. And they've been banned in many other countries as well. But manufacturers can actually label products trans-free if they have less than 0.5 grams per serving. So if you're eating 5 servings, you could get as much as 2.5 grams. So this still could be a significant source. Natural trans fatty acids are found in meat and dairy products. And for years, we thought that they didn't have the same kind of impact as industrially produced trans fatty acids. But today, evidence is suggesting that the health impacts may actually be similar to those of industrially produced trans fatty acids. Saturated fat is associated with increased total mortality, hyperlipidemia, and cardiovascular disease, some cancers, neurodegenerative diseases, inflammation, and visceral fat deposits. And for cardiovascular disease risk reduction, the American Heart Association actually recommends no more than 5 to 6% of calories from saturated fat, or 16 grams in a 2,000 calorie diet. We get this much from many fast food meals. Our key sources are red and processed meat, whole milk and cheese, or other high-fat dairy products, tropical oils, and lard. Oxidized fats, when we expose fats to high temperature, as in when we fry them or grill them, we actually promote the formation of harmful products of oxidation, such as aldehydes and hydroperoxides. And that's especially true if we heat fat to the point where it starts to smoke. These compounds can actually damage DNA and increase cancer risk and should be minimized in the diet. Strategy number 5 is to maximize antioxidants and phytochemicals. Phytochemicals are natural bioactive compounds in plants that can protect health, and many function as antioxidants alongside antioxidant micronutrients such as vitamin C, E, and provitamin A carotenoids. And these compounds can reduce oxidative stress and inflammation, enhance gut microbiota, improve fasting glucose and insulin sensitivity, support immune function, and again, protect against DNA damage. So to maximize our intake of phytochemicals and antioxidants, we just want to eat a wider variety of plant foods, because the greater the variety means the greater the mix of these compounds. Gut Health Guidelines asks us to eat at least 30 different plant foods per week. And I know I eat at least 50 different plant foods per day. So I don't think this is a big ask. It's actually pretty simple to achieve. Do the math and see where you're at, and see if you can't increase the variety of plants in your diet. You want to go for color because the richest sources are often the most colorful. So to maximize protective phytochemicals, you might want to choose purple instead of white onions, black instead of brown rice, dark instead of light greens. You want to eat the entire rainbow of fruits and vegetables. And I try to do this in my big giant salad that I eat every day. And I try to go for at least 3 green, 2 orange yellow, 2 pink red, 1 purple blue, and 1 white beige daily. You want to eat more raw foods because certain raw foods contain enzymes that convert phytochemicals into their bioactive metabolites or their active forms. For example, myrosinase in cruciferous vegetables helps to convert glucosinolates into isothiocyanates like sulforaphane, which is a great cancer reducer, and allinase in allium vegetables, which helps to convert allan to allicin. We want to start sprouting because when we sprout, we really increase the phytochemical army that's poised to protect that delicate new little plant, and it often explodes by 5 to 50 times. We want to pile on herbs and spices because gram for gram, they're some of our very best sources of antioxidants and phytochemicals. Drink antioxidant rich teas. Strategy number 6 is to minimize dietary contaminants. And the worst offenders are environmental contaminants and the byproducts of high temperature cooking. And these things can increase our risk of chronic disease by increasing oxidative stress, fueling inflammation, disrupting hormones, damaging vital organs, damaging DNA in the central nervous system as well. And when we say environmental contaminants, we're talking about pesticides in conventional produce, heavy metals like mercury in fish and arsenic in rice and cadmium in shellfish. We're talking about persistent organic pollutants that move up the food chain and so are most concentrated in animal products. And then finally, microplastics, which have only more recently gotten onto our radar. And the most concentrated sources are actually seafood and salt, but they are present in many other foods as well. So the solutions here are to eat lower on the food chain. Choose organic when you can. Vary your grains. Eat kamut, quinoa, barley, sorghum, farro, and other grains more often. limit processed rice-based foods like rice crackers and cakes, and reduce arsenic in rice by boiling the rice with a large amount of water to rice, like 6:1, like you would pasta. And recognize that there are some places where there's less arsenic naturally in the rice. California has less arsenic than some of the other southern states in the US, for example. And then reduce exposure to microplastics, like avoiding single-use plastics and plastic kitchen implements, storing food in glass instead of plastic, and minimize our intake of seafood and salts that are known to be high in plastics, like Himalayan pink sea salt, but other foods as well. High temperature products of high temperature cooking, we're talking about heterocyclic amines. These are found only in animal products. They're highest in grilled or fried animal products such as meat and eggs. Polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons are most concentrated in blackened foods. Acrylamide is most concentrated in fried potato products. Advanced glycation end products are most concentrated in processed meats, especially processed meats that have been fried. Solutions here: avoid charred or blackened foods, especially meat, poultry, or fish. Avoid deep fried foods and use more moist cooking methods like steaming, stewing, water sauteing. Strategy number 7, target nutrition gaps with strategic supplements. So no dietary pattern is perfect. Nutrition gaps exist among all dietary patterns, whether they're omnivorous or plant-based. Key gaps in plant-based diets are vitamin B12, vitamin D, iodine, and EPA and DHA. And so we'll just look at each of these very briefly. So vitamin B12 is essential for red blood cells, for brain health, for DNA synthesis, and deficiency can lead to anemia, nerve damage, and cognitive decline. Our most reliable source is supplements. Other plant-based sources are B12 fortified foods. How much do we need? 1,000 micrograms 2 to 3 times a week for most adults. If you're over 65 or on metformin, you may up it to 500 to 1,000 micrograms daily. Vitamin D, we have global shortfalls. It's vital for bone health, immunity, and cognitive function. The risk is higher in plant-based eaters because there are fewer plant-based sources. Supplements are often needed to ensure adequate status, especially for people living in cooler climates or who have limited sun exposure. How much do we need? Well, I would suggest 1,000 to 2,000 IUs a day for most people. Some people may need more to get to their target vitamin D levels. Iodine is very often overlooked, and a lot of people don't realize that severe iodine deficiency is actually the #1 cause of preventable brain damage in the world. Iodine, of course, is also critical for thyroid function, and vegans are at increased risk of poor iodine status because there are fewer dietary sources. The most reliable plant sources are iodized salt and appropriate amounts of seaweed. It's very easy to go overboard with the seaweed. Supplement dose is 150 micrograms a day. And then finally, EPA and DHA. These are the biologically forms of omega-3 that are critical for brain, eye, and heart health. Conversion from the plant omega-3 ALA is actually quite inefficient. So many experts are suggesting microalgae-based EPA, which is a fish-free solution. Actually, fish get most of their omega-3s from microalgae, and so we can too. Supplement dose, many people say 200 to 300 milligrams a day. I would go higher, from about 5 to 1,500 milligrams a day, to try to get to your omega-3, to an omega-3 index of close to 8%. And, smart supplementing is important. Your diet really is the key to achieving great health, but supplementation can be an effective strategy for optimizing nutrition intake, even with an excellent diet. But we want to focus on filling gaps, not on mega dosing. So the take-home message for this presentation is well-designed plant-based diets are the highest quality diets, and they are a powerful strategy for increasing health, longevity, and vitality. Remember, though, health isn't just about what you eat, it's about how you live. Smart choices include healthy dietary choices, but they also include prioritizing restorative sleep, engaging in regular physical activity, managing stress, avoiding addictions, and staying socially connected. So, with that, I will stop my share and I will be very happy to take any questions you might have.
Wow, Brenda, thank you. Such comprehensive, thoughtful information delivered so clearly and thoughtfully. And one thing I just want folks to know, Brenda has spent decades studying the research. And so what she says is grounded in a tremendous amount of curiosity and tenacity and commitment. This isn't just somebody spouting off what's going to get clicks on a website. This is somebody who is fiercely committed to helping people be healthy and thrive in life. So, Brenda, thank you so much for all of your commitment and brilliance and the clarity with which you articulate all of this. So let's see, we've got a lot of questions. Let's see if we can cover a few of them here. So Brooke said, what is the best way to get information across to teenagers who love hamburgers and pizza and feel invincible?
Oh, I love this question. I had teenagers a long time ago. And they
Me
were
too, not so
really
long ago.
well, they're 40-ish now. So but they were, especially my son was so committed to trying to convert his friends. And one thing that we all have to realize is we can't pressure anyone into changing, but we can, with compassion and kindness, share information in a way that might resonate with them. And for some people, that's by sharing the environmental consequences of their food choices. For others, we may be able to reach them by helping them to understand how meat comes to the plate and how many animals are in factory farms and how horrible the treatment of these animals are. And for many young people, this resonates far more powerfully than personal health. And so we can approach it in that way. But I think the other thing to do is to share really delicious plant-based food with them. And especially when they start to get a little bit interested in some of the other aspects of the consequences of our choices. And so great food is great food, regardless of whether it's plant-based or not. And so I think that's one of the reasons why my son became such an extraordinary cook, because that was how he swayed so many of his friends, and he continues to do that to this day.
Yeah, the best doorway to someone's heart is often through their stomach. Yeah, awesome. Thank you. And it's so true, a lot of young people are more motivated by ethical concerns, the future of life on Earth, because they are not, mortality isn't real for them, but
Yeah.
ethics is. Yeah, thank you. Let's see. We actually only have time for a couple quick ones, so we'll see if we can just lightning through these. Janet asked about gluten-free grains. What do you suggest for people who are gluten sensitive?
Well, I think it's really pretty easy because there aren't that many grains that are, gluten grains. We think of, barley and wheat and the variations of wheat like kamut and spelt, but there are way more grains that are gluten-free than aren't gluten-free. So certainly you can, just start to experiment. And of course, rice is gluten-free, but there are many others like quinoa and sorghum and millet, and they're just all sorts of wonderful grains that are gluten-free. So I mean, for breakfast every day, and you can buy oats, gluten-free oats as well, that haven't been processed on machinery that has been exposed to gluten. So for breakfast every day, I cook intact whole grains with a few lentils, and it's really easy to select gluten-free grains to do that with. So I think that's, really pretty simple nowadays and so many gluten-free products out there. Not all of them are the healthiest, but certainly it's way easier than it used to be.
Brenda, a lot of people are asking how they can follow up with you more deeply. They're asking, what is your website address?
Yes, it's brendadavisrd.com. And my
Okay.
email is brendadavis@telus.net. And I've got a book due December 1st, so I'm a little bit scrambling to meet that deadline. But otherwise, very happy to hear from people, very happy to connect with you. And yeah, feel free to email me too.
Beautiful. Thank you. And of course, you have a lot of books out,
I have a lot of books.
million
And a new
copies in
one coming
print.
out. Yes, a new one
What's the
coming
new
out
one?
soon.
What's the new one called?
It's called Plant Powered Seniors. And
Oh,
so,
okay.
it's funny because I wrote a book called Nourish with a pediatrician, Reshma Shah, a few years back. And this is for families and children. And so I was really thinking, well, what's the other sort of gap in plant-based literature? And I thought, we need a book for seniors. And so that's what we're finishing up right now. I'm
Oh
quite
my
happy with
gosh.
how it's coming along.
I know a lot of people are going to be excited about that. Brenda, thank you. That's incredible. For those who want to go deeper with Brenda, the best thing I can offer for live engagement is plant-based coaching certificate, because she actually teaches the full first module of our nutrition pillar, and she sets the tone for the whole journey. Plus, she's present live with our students throughout the journey at various points along the way. I think one of the real highlights of the program is getting to learn from her live, getting to ask questions and go deeper. Brenda, you bring such clarity, such compassion, such expertise. We're so grateful. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Ocean. It's always such a privilege to be with you, and thank you for the wonderful work you're doing.
All right. Okay, well, friends, we're going to keep right on rolling. You've already met Tracy Garrigan, certified holistic health coach, founding director, and program manager of the plant-based coaching certificate. Now, she is back to take us deeper into one of the most essential elements of creating real lasting change, which is coaching. So in this presentation, Tracy's going to introduce 6 fundamental coaching skills that form the backbone of our PBCC plant-based coaching certificate framework. She's going to show how mastering these core techniques can help clients to move through resistance and to make meaningful and sustainable steps towards their healthiest vision for their lives. So feel free to drop questions for Tracy in the Q&A box at any time, and we'll have a brief live Q&A session with her right after this presentation. Now, over to you, Tracy.
Thank you so much, Ocean. And thanks everybody for being here. Brenda, you are amazing, absolutely amazing. And being able to, deliver this course and doing these live calls with you is a dream come true. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. I know a lot of people are fascinated by the science of nutrition. I would consider myself to be one of them. We love hearing how food affects our cells, our energy, our mood, our health, what a practical tool this is. But then there are some of us who are a little more practically nerdy. We're fascinated by the science of application, by what really helps people take what they know and put it into action. So coaching is the piece that I love the most, because once you've had a whole bunch of amazing nutritional knowledge, if you're the kind of person that's like, okay, now what do I do with this? This is for you. If you've ever found yourself wondering how to bridge that gap, you're going to appreciate this. So at Food Revolution Network, we have developed and refined a methodology for behavior change. And this is the foundation of our plant-based coaching certificate program for Pillar 2, the coaching pillar. And so we've taken a complex evidence-based approach. We've taken it from the field of coaching, and we've combined the science with the wisdom and experience of our full faculty. So that would include health and wellness professionals, as well as leadership and performance coaching. So a lot of people don't know that coaching is its own discipline. We've taken that discipline and distilled it into the following fundamentals. Our goal is to simply simplify the complex. So here are the 6 fundamentals. Go ahead and forget about any old school thinking you may have around coaching. This is not someone yelling at you to do better. It's not also empty cheerleading. And at first glance, these fundamentals might look simple. That is intentional, but in practice, they are anything but easy. This is a technology of communication. And inside each of these skills are layers of sub-skills, like Russian doll of skills and nuanced abilities that, together with a lot of practice, make for one heck of a powerful coach. So doing them well, consistently, compassionately, and skillfully takes time, intention, lots of practice. Some would say decades to master. But now, as we walk through each one, I'm going to keep it simple, and I invite you to listen not for what they are, but also for what resonates the most with you. Maybe you already have a coaching superpower to leverage in your life or in your work. So as we go, feel free to drop your questions in the chat for me. Sorry, your questions in the Q&A box. And just notice where you feel any kind of spark of recognition, that aha moment, and where it might connect to your own personal journey or your work, and we'll walk through afterwards. So the 6 fundamental skills, we're going to start with deep listening. At PBCC, we define deep listening as listening with mindful presence. That means silencing the urge to fix, to solve, or to advise. And it's difficult for most of us to not be an expert, especially if you are already an expert at something. Some call this skill holding space, and it's not easy to do because most of our lives have been, being rewarded for having the answers, for being the expert, for feeling helpful and useful when we can offer solutions to someone. But in coaching, our power doesn't come from what we know, it comes from how deeply we can listen. And when we replace advice with deep listening, something really powerful happens. Our interrupted clients begin to hear themselves more clearly. They start to connect their own dots. That is where the transformation begins. So in practice, this means slowing down. It means being mindfully present, listening to what's said and not said, tone, body language, energy, facial expressions. This aligns directly with coaching competencies around active listening and attending to verbal and nonverbal cues, using silence, at times reflecting back what you said, as well as demonstrating empathy and curiosity and non-judgment. You are maintaining eye contact. You're reflecting your awareness of what you just heard, the energy in it, the emotions, and your underlying concerns. So let's take a look at what this would look like in action. Here's an example scenario. The client says, I've been so tired lately, and I think it's because I'm not eating well. So if you're not skilled at deep listening, you might say, well, it's the holiday season, junk food is everywhere. Have you tried cutting out sugar? I know for me, that always works. That is not coaching. And just like that, the moment is gone. The client shuts down because their concern wasn't fully heard before advice was given. Used correctly, the client says, I've been so tired lately. I think it's because I'm not eating well. The coach leans in, reflects back what they heard. I hear that your energy is low and you're linking it to your eating habits. Tell me more about how meals have been for you lately. And now the client feels understood, safe, and can open up even more. So that is just an act of respect. It says, I trust you to find your own answers. I'm here to walk beside you as you do. And so a quick question for you, and you can drop this in the chat. Where in your life, with friends, family, colleagues, patients, clients, have you found yourself wanting to interrupt or be the expert or give advice or cheerlead? Words are really powerful things. So beginning to notice words and when you use them in your conversations in all of your relationships is a wonderful first step towards transforming those moments, because every time we resist the urge to fix someone and we let that other person hear themselves reflected back with intention, we create space for real connection and we have an increased sense of building autonomy for that person, they can then begin to build their self-awareness. And that's a wonderful gift. Our second fundamental skill is creating the safe space. Now, trust and psychological safety are words that get thrown around a lot, but they really are the foundation for meaningful change. It's a primary purpose and focus of the whole first session that you have with a client, just to build that psychological safety, to define your role as a coach, to review the agreement, to get clear on what it is you're going to do together, to even have a conversation around your scope of practice as a coach, what you do and don't do, and really covering issues around confidentiality. So at that first session, we build the container for safety so a client can flourish, and then we carry it all throughout all of our sessions, because before a client can grow, they have to feel safe enough to be honest, to explore what's real, to say the thing they've never said out loud before. Maybe it's that thought they think when they're going to bed at night that they're afraid to say out loud because they're afraid to feel judged or dismissed or fixed. Creating this space is intentional, and it begins with how we show up. Our tone, our energy, our body language, our consistency. We reinforce our clear boundaries and we communicate respect, but not just through words, through our presence. So we want to pay attention also to cultural and individual context. For those of you who joined us at the first workshop, I explained what the social determinants of health and wellness were. And that simply means that people are making choices based on a lot of context, right? So when they choose to eat, what they eat, why they eat, all of this matters. And those are conversations that often cannot happen in a doctor's office. So how each person's background or identity or lived experience shapes what safety and choices mean to them is something that you want to get a sense of. And this builds a foundation for your ongoing work, fostering inclusivity, humility, self-awareness. The coach has to manage their own biases and emotions. We definitely have to be trained for that. And even our own triggers. And we have to know how to repair trust if it's ever breached, because let's be honest, we're all human. There will be moments when something we say lands differently than we intended. What matters most is how we repair those moments. And here's a little look at what it looks like to not create a safe space and be insensitive versus creating a safe space. So a client may mention that they're fasting for religious reasons. The coach responds, "That doesn't sound very healthy. Maybe you should stop." You know, the context around this might have been something like they were talking about struggling with mental focus or not having good sleep or whatever it is. The client will not feel seen. They might even feel disrespected and shut down. On the other hand, what if a client shares a tradition or a family pattern around food that feels different from your coaching, from your own perspective or your own experience? The correct way to respond to that would be, "I really appreciate you sharing that, and I'd love to understand more about what that means to you." And the client then feels respected and valued for their individuality. So we have training in the course that's specific to cultural safety as well. And that is something that needs to be considered, because we all have our blind spots and we need to own them and soften them and learn how to hold space for other people. And I want you to go ahead now and think about yourself holding space for someone. Maybe it's a friend, a family member, a colleague, a client. What signals safety to them in your presence? Is it your tone, your eye contact, your willingness to stay with their emotions a little longer than might feel comfortable for you? Go ahead and drop that in the Q&A. Becoming aware of what helps other people feel safe is the first step to intentionally creating it. So our third fundamental skill is leveraging curiosity. A lot of magic happens in this moment. Curiosity is the bridge between listening and discovery. It helps people explore strengths. It's what transforms a conversation from judgment or focusing on obstacles and challenges and feeling stuck to learning how to understand them and learning how to explore possibilities. So curiosity is that compass. It can really guide a powerful conversation. When we bring genuine curiosity to a conversation, we say, I'm not here to judge or fix you. I'm here to explore with you. And in practice, this means asking thoughtful, open-ended questions that reveal motivation and why. It might be leveraging what we call change talk. There's the willingness to move forward on something. It might be exploring possibilities and letting that client really say, okay, well, here's what I learned. This is what I've done before. This is what's worked before. I forgot about that. So curiosity helps people learn how to learn. It becomes a default setting instead of getting just stuck and frustrated. It empowers clients to begin to notice their own strengths, their own patterns, and their own resources. So they'll start to understand why something is the way it is and imagine really what could be different instead. So through that curiosity, they will learn to see that all of their answers are not necessarily outside of them. They're pretty well resourced within. So we want to help expand that conversation. For example, let's say a client shares that they've fallen off track recently with their healthy eating. You don't want to assume the reason for that stuck. The wrong way to reply to this would be, you're probably just not planning your meals well enough. Let's work on that. That would be the coach offering their solution. We don't want to do that. Instead, used correctly, you can get curious. Or you can reply, yeah, you've noticed that you've fallen off track. What do you think you need the most right now to get back in the rhythm? And now the client feels empowered to explore their own solutions instead of feeling judged for slipping or instead of learning how to look outside of themselves for the answers. So coaching is not just about collecting information, it's awakening the awareness that clients have so they can really learn to be creative in their own solutions. So I have a question for you now. For you, what might shift in your relationships, professional or personal, if you replaced leading into challenges and obstacles with genuine curiosity? Go ahead and drop that in the Q&A. And now reflecting and reframing. This is our fourth fundamental. So if curiosity was about asking that question, like what's here, then reflecting and reframing are about offering, well, here's what I hear, and here's another way to see it. As coaches, we aim to help people shift perspectives while validating their experience. We don't want to bulldoze their experience because before a client can see things differently, they first need to feel seen and heard. Reflection is how we hold up a mirror, helping clients hear their own words and thoughts and emotions in a new way. Reframing then invites possibility. It transforms those challenges into opportunities and growth. It helps to promote that change talk instead of sustain talk. Sustain is when you kind of argue for your limitations. It can be as simple as highlighting a strength where a client sees failure or a possibility where they see limitation. But through this process, we help to nurture optimism, resilience, and self-compassion. So an example here, the client might say, I really want to feel energetic and be active with my grandkids. I'll try to eat healthier. Oops, I'm on the wrong slide. Sorry. The example might be the client set a goal to exercise 3 times this week, but only managed once. And the client might say, I feel guilty for not doing better. You don't want to invalidate their experience. You don't want to say, oh, don't say that. You're doing great. Once is better than nothing. You know, that is something that someone in your real life who loves you might say, but it invalidates their experience. So instead, we want to reflect and reframe. We want to say, I hear that you feel guilty, and it sounds like you really care about your progress. So, what would self compassion look like in this moment? If you go ahead and lean into how they feel about what happened, they're going to learn how to practice that self kindness and start to understand their truth from a wider angle. And they're going to stay more connected to that long term vision for well being, even when life feels hard. So, for you, when you're supporting someone who's feeling discouraged, how might you acknowledge their struggle while also helping them see their strengths? In the same example, what might you say? All right. Now we get to transforming vision into action. This is actually kind of my favorite. I'm very much a planner. So in the beginning, we really invite people to hold a vision, a real big picture vision of what thriving looks like and feels like to them. We let them feel into it. And that's often easy when people are suffering. And we want to help people move from that dreaming to the doing. So once we've invited clients to picture what thriving looks like and feels like, together we're going to break that vision into small, achievable action steps that match their own pace, values, and readiness for change. We'll have them identify the first step, and then the next step, and then the next. And this is how those tiny habits build over time. To translate vision into goals and actions, we're going to help them clarify their values. We're going to leverage intrinsic motivation. We're going to check importance and confidence on a scale like of 0 to 10. And then we're going to use tools like brainstorming to really get clear on what the goals are. And then we're going to go ahead and set a SMART goal. So if the client shares, I want to feel energetic and be active with my grandkids, after digging into this for a while, you'll get into goal setting. What's going to get you there? What's the first step between now and when I see you again? Based on what you've shared, what's one small step that's going to move you to that direction? The vague response from a client might be, I'll try to eat healthier, but it might be more useful for a coach to help them make a SMART goal. What would that look like? Maybe that's 3 healthy meals a week. And you can get down to like, when are you going to prepare those? What are they going to look like? And then you start asking how confident that person feels to actually achieve it. You know, let's say on a scale of 0 to 10, the client said, I feel like a 7. You can enforce that positive feeling by saying, okay, you said a 7, why not a 4? And the client can say, well, I know what to do. I even have these ingredients on hand. I just needed to set aside time to cook, and now we have a plan. So that is how actions connect to what truly matters and how change can feel natural, even inevitable. So if you think of a goal that you have struggled to achieve, what's made it hard? Lack of clarity, lack of confidence, lack of support? What would have helped you take that next meaningful step? All right. I see there's a lot of good comments in the chat, in the Q&A box. All right. And then last but not least, we want to take that action plan and build on it. We want to build confidence and motivation. So this is our final fundamental, where we help clients believe in their own capacity for change, even when the progress feels small. A lot of times these steps and these goals are so week to week and small that people stop to believe in their efficacy. But we know that the magic happens in the action. And it's better to focus on the action than that outcome when it comes to making change happen and when it comes to making good habits stick. So transformation doesn't happen when people are pushed. It starts to happen when people start to believe, I can do this. And so as coaches, we build that belief step by step. We notice effort, we reflect progress, we anchor goals to that vision that they had of what matters the most. We affirm strengths, we identify what's working and not working, and we help clients connect back to their values and their vision over and over again. And this is how we strengthen self-efficacy, or clients' confidence in their own ability to follow through. So an example scenario here is, this week was crazy. I only managed to cook one plant-based dinner this week. The wrong response would be to undermine their confidence and say, I'm sorry to hear your week was so busy, but you really need to stick to your plan if you want results. You know, the client would feel criticized, defeated, motivation would drop, self-belief would weaken. So instead, you could say, it sounds like you've made a healthy change in the middle of a busy week. What helped you make that possible? And now you have something to anchor into. Now you have a success and a strength to leverage for next time and to build upon. When clients start to connect to their wins and go deeper into their why, they start to sustain momentum, not because someone told them to, but because they succeeded and they want to do it again. So take a moment now to reflect. Think of a time when someone believed in you before you fully believed in yourself. How did that affect your motivation? And as we come to a close, that's all 6. Let's take a moment to zoom back out. And we put these all together. We've got deep listening, creating a safe space, leveraging curiosity, reflecting and reframing, transforming vision into action, building confidence and motivation. These are from the heart of our heart-centered roadmap to transformation that we practice together in PBCC. We have focused workshops on all of these things, and we practice them together. So when you learn to embody these skills, you're doing more than learning how to coach. You're learning to create a world in which people feel seen and heard and empowered to change their lives. And as you practice these fundamentals, you're not only building the capacity to change lives, the ripple effect of your growth as a coach will extend far beyond you into the lives, into the families and the communities that you touch. So thank you for any part of this that spoke to your heart and the work you would like to do as a coach.
Wow. Tracy, that was amazing. You know, I'm sure a lot of folks listening are thinking about this from a coaching landscape, but also from a human landscape. I mean, we're heading into the holiday season, and a lot of us are going to be around a lot of folks who maybe don't eat quite the way we do. How do we interact? How do we relate to people? You're giving us such powerful principles that are meaningful in all of our relationships. And of course, most of all in a coach client relationship. What incredible principles. I just love it. Thank you for not only living this, because by the way, folks, what Tracy is just sharing is born out of, 15 years of lived practice, right, with real clients in real change in lives, but also for articulating it so clearly and so usefully for all of us. Absolutely brilliant. And of course, in the plant-based coaching certificate, we go into all of this in a lot more depth, and you get a lot of practice, because ultimately, what is it they say? Like, how you respond in any moment isn't so much a product of your highest aspirations. It's what you've trained for. It's what you've practiced, right? That's what we fall back on. All right. Well, friends, we have not a lot of time and lots of questions, but let's see if we can get to a couple of them. So what is the best way to adapt to the fast pace of today's young people who are always running from one activity to the next? And how do we relate this information in psychology?
I'm taking that question to mean that you want to help to make an impact on someone who's very young and busy. Is that Yeah. Okay.
It sounds that way.
It sounds that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, having worked with, college-aged kids and younger, also, it always comes back to meeting them where they are. Like Brenda said earlier, they may or may not care about the health impacts of their choices, and getting them to, um, I think autonomy is a basic, fundamental human desire. Feeling like you're the one in control. It starts when we're babies, and it's probably the last thing to go. So honoring that, and uh, leaning in with curiosity. What matters to you about your diet? What matters to you about your health? Finding that area to be curious about, leveraging curiosity would be, to me, like the primary tool, because then that person really feels
Mm.
um, like they're in control.
Yeah. Yeah. And you just modeled that. Like I read the question and you actually wanted to understand the question a little deeper. Did you all catch that? Because often we are so caught in feeling like we've got to be performative and respond that we don't actually take the time to listen and understand who we're talking to, right? So even in reading a question, Tracy can go a little deeper. What is this person really trying? What's the need they're trying to meet here? I just love that. Um, let's see. A lot of questions about nutrition. I'll try to answer those in the chat as or in the Q&A box as I'm able. Uh, One person said this was brilliant, Tracy. Thank you for this compassionate and specific reminder slash training. Um, Linda asked, do you believe this can truly be learned, or is it more a naturally existing tendency or skill set?
Hmm. I believe we are all somewhere on a spectrum when it comes to this work. And, some of us are born really great listeners. Others are fixers. And others, just kind of like, want to fix things or be the expert or whatever your default setting is. And there's no wrong way of showing up to do this work. Honestly, it can be learned, it can be practiced. And you'll find that within these six fundamentals, there will be ones that you might already be a rock star at one or two of these things already. Maybe you have kids that you've used this kind of stuff on, right? Or in a relationship or as a leader at work or whatever it might be. So these are basic coaching, really is a technology of communication and listening. And you may already be um, great at one thing and not so great at the other. And that's what all of the practice is about. So every single week throughout the course, for example, we have homework every week. That homework sounds like a dirty word, but it's not when it's actually just something you need to practice with the people in your life. So we've saved marriages, we've we've kept jobs, these are communication skills, and there's nothing more powerful than learning to listen and getting good at these six basics.
Yes, okay, so important. All right, thank you, Tracy. What you just offered is really just the tip of the iceberg. It's a super high level overview of what can really take 6 months to really learn and apply, and then, a lifetime to practice and implement and improve and finesse. When coaches have these tools in their hands, something extraordinary happens, which is people can finally feel supported in a way that makes real change possible. So often we remember not what people say, but how they make us feel. And when you feel seen, heard, held, loved, respected, it tends to bring out your natural capacity, courage, and motivation. Rather than, we don't respond well to being shamed or blamed or shoulded. And I just love how you're helping us all to practice. It's not just an art, folks. It is a science, and it can be learned, and it can be practiced and improved. Now,
Mhm.
one of the most powerful things a coach can do is to lead from a place of purpose. When you know your why, not just intellectually, but at a cellular level, everything can change. How you show up, how you serve, how you help others to transform. And our next presenter has helped hundreds of leaders discover that clarity. And today she's going to help you find yours. Erin Weed is a dear friend of mine. She's also a speaker, an executive coach, and creator of The Dig, which is a transformative process that uncovers people's authentic purpose and distills it to just one word. Her coaching has helped thousands of leaders and founders and TED speakers to find clarity and confidence. In 2001, Erin founded Girls Fight Back in response to the murder of her sorority sister, Shannon McNamara. The company has taught personal safety skills to over 1 million women around the world. Erin is also the author of Just One Word, the surprisingly simple method to discover your purpose and unleash your power. It's an amazing book that will be coming out in May of 2026. I've been friends with Erin for years, watching her working on this. She has poured so much of her heart and soul into this. I can't believe we're only 6 months from launch. I think it's actually available on Amazon now. Just a little plug. Feel free as we go through this presentation to drop questions for Erin in the Q&A box, because we'll have a little time at the end of her talk for a brief Q&A session. But right now, I just want to say, Erin, welcome. I am so happy you're here with us today.
Oh, Ocean, I am just so happy to be here. And I'm loving everybody in the comments. I love you. I love your team. So thank you all for being here. And, as Ocean said, my whole life's work is helping people to get to their purpose and distill it down to that just one word. And I have to say, listening to Tracy just before my portion was so inspiring. And the one word I kept getting was just compassion. I think you referenced somebody else in the comments said that too. So as she spoke, she was teaching, she was giving all this valuable information, but I just felt the compassion. And as someone who's having the host of my first ever vegan Thanksgiving this year, myself and my partner Dan, much of our family is vegan. And so we're doing that. And so listening to Tracy and just being around you all has been very encouraging for me. So thank you. But I'm going to get right into it here. So I love simplicity, this whole one word concept. It's just so that we can make this idea of getting to purpose just so much easier, and also to embody it with our life, with our work, with all the things. So for a living, I help people get epic clarity of their purpose and message. And sometimes people are like, well, which one is it? Well, it's both, because your purpose is your message. And your message, I think, is your purpose. And I see this as being an ever evolving, ongoing process of discovering inside of you who you are and what you stand for, and then sharing that process with other people through your message, through your communications, through your website, through even your one-on-one conversations that you might have as you're introducing yourself at networking events. So the more we know ourselves and the more epic clarity that we have on what our purpose is, the more we can connect with other people. Because that's really what this is all about, is that connection. Now, sometimes people are like, well, why one word? So first of all, let's clarify what I mean by the one word. And my goal is that by the end of my session here today, everybody has an idea of what your one word might be. So this is going to be a play along kind of exercise. Ocean's even going to help me demonstrate a tool here today. So the one word, it's not meant to minimize a person. I know that everybody here has a very complex, robust, interesting life, but I'm not trying to distill people's existence down to a word. What we're trying to do is give people's purpose what I call a frequency. So that feeling, if you think of the word freedom, the feeling you get when you think of freedom. Maybe some people associate freedom with going on a trip, or being on vacation, or maybe the feeling that you get on Friday when work is over and you're rolling into the weekend, or being on an airplane. I don't know. There's so many different ways, but freedom has a feeling, right? That's a frequency. And what I've learned is that everybody for their entire life has just one word. And so we're going to try to discover that here today. So let's see. I just want to mention first and foremost, because this is a workshop about authenticity, I just want to mention the fact that we are not taught authenticity. I think it's a skill. I don't even think it's as much of a choice. It's a skill that we weren't really taught. Many of us were born into bodies, or born into communities, or born into families where not only were we not wanting to, or they didn't want us to be authentic, but we weren't allowed to. And so for some of us, we have to go through a bunch of deprogramming almost to get to our authentic self. So I just want to say, if you're feeling a little uncomfortable right now, or you're like, what is this? Or I'm not sure what my authentic self could be, or that I could get it down to one word, just stick with me, because my whole life's work is to create some simplicity around this whole process. Let's see. So I want to give you all just a question to sit with before I really dive in here with this exercise. And I want this question to be maybe rolling around in the back of your mind because it's a question that's really helped me throughout all of my work. And that question is, how real do you want to be? How real do you want to be? I very much came up with this question when as the Ocean was explaining, I was the founder of Girls Fight Back. I was teaching women's safety and self-defense seminars at high schools and colleges across the world. And I can assure you that young women in high school and college, they did not want to hear me as a speaker. They were forced to go to these assemblies. They were upset about it. And I had to talk about a really hard topic. Maybe some of you all can really relate to this. Maybe people don't totally agree with your views on things. It's hard to talk about it. But honestly, what I found that broke those barriers, that got through to those young women to talk about a really hard and even scary topic, was being authentic. And so I'd always ask myself this question. I'd be sitting in my car, psyching myself up. I'm about to go talk to 3,000 young women in an auditorium. And I'd just be like, all right, Erin, how real do you want to be? And the more real I was, the more I made a connection with other people. So hold on to that question here today as you play along. Now, the tool I want to teach you today is something that's one of the tools that we use in the dig process, which I do digs, by the way, for entire organizations. I also do private sessions in my home. The dig, it can be given in a lot of different formats, but really the whole goal is to get to that one word. But the way that we get there is we have people really express their truth. Now, what a lot of people don't realize is that there's actually multiple truths that are running at the same time in all of us all the time. So we have a factual truth that's in our head. These are things that are factually, undisputedly true, right? Your birthday, where you live, if you have a pet, this is your factual truth. You also have an emotional truth. This is what you're feeling right now. Emotions are very fleeting. They're constantly moving. Sometimes they're even kind of complex because you can have two emotions that are complete polar opposite at the exact same time. So emotional truth is so interesting. And it's really what makes us all bond together as humans because we all have those feelings. And then the third truth is the core. And this is what I call, this is like what you want, right? This is your gut. It's like, for those of you who like follow chakra systems and things like that, I'm in Boulder, we do these things here. It's like you're manifesting chakra, right? It's where what you want, your true desire comes from. And so you have that truth that's also running in addition to your emotional truth, in addition to your factual truth all the time. How cool is that? So the great thing though, is that we have so much to say. We have so much to express. The hard thing is that most of us don't realize how much awesomeness is in there. And so Ocean and I are going to demonstrate an exercise to show you that this is one of the quickest ways you can get to your full truth. And also, this is also one of the ways that you get to your most concise and clear message. So we're just going to demo it because it's easier to do it that way. So are you down, Ocean? Are we good?
Oh, yes.
All right. Okay. So let's start with the head. So I'm going to go and then Ocean is going to go. And basically what we're just trying to do is we're just trying to demonstrate how we all have these three truths and then we'll hopefully put them together at the end and come up with one word. So I'll go first. I'm putting my hand on my head to do this because I always like to train myself when I'm in my head. And this is a superpower, by the way, for leaders, because if you know which place you're in, it gives you the ability to switch up. So let's say, for example, you're with a client, you're coaching someone perhaps, and they're really in their heart. They're having some big feelings about something, and you're really in your head. You're just thinking the data or the science or the research. It's not going to be great for you to coach them from that head place. You're going to want to drop down to the heart and meet them there, and then maybe bring them back up to it. And so by us now getting kinesthetic awareness about where we're at, we can switch. So that's why I'm holding my head. So I'll ask Ocean to do that too. So I'm going to take 1 minute and I'll give you 60 seconds of facts about myself. Then you can go, Ocean, and then you'll give 60 seconds of facts of yourself. Sound good?
Yep.
Okay. All right. 1 minute. Let's see. And by the way, everybody's going to notice that there's going to be areas that they're just not great at. Okay. So, and I want you all to play along in the comments, by the way. If you have a factual truth, you all do, feel free to type it in there. We're all going to get to know each other in the midst of this whole exercise. So facts only, no feelings. I don't want to hear about what you love, what you're passionate about. Not now, not time for it. This is in the head.
Super live and real. Erin's done this thousands of times, but she's literally pausing right now because she's not quite sure what to say because she's actually doing this real time, not just rehearsing rehearsing something she's done before. Okay.
That's right. That's right. Let's go. I'm going to be awkward in front of all of you. This is great.
Yeah.
My daily life. Okay. So facts only. So my name is Erin Weed. My middle name is Underwood, which I have all sorts of feelings about. I'm originally from Chicago. I spent my 20s in New York. I moved to Colorado in 2007. I am divorced. My husband, I call him, is my neighbor, and our two kids go back and forth between the houses. Um, let's see. I have a rescue French bulldog named Ellie, and a fact, she is snoring at my feet right now. I'm pretty sure. And let's see. I think I have like 8 more seconds. Or fact. Okay, I've been an entrepreneur for 25 years. Okay, Ocean, it's your turn.
All right. My name is Ocean Omi Robbins. I was born in 1973. I am a father of identical twin sons named Bodhi Sattva Bissonnette Robbins and River Dharma Bissonnette Robbins. My children are on the autism spectrum. I live in outside Santa Cruz, California, but I was born in Canada, in British Columbia, in a one-room log cabin in the middle of the woods. It became 3 rooms a little while later because my parents realized having a baby was interfering with their ability to meditate in the morning, which was a big part of their lives. That they practiced yoga and meditation for several hours a day. Some of my earliest memories are them meditating while I was playing with blocks. I am CEO of Food Revolution Network, and my father passed away in June. He and I founded Food Revolution Network together, and I must be at time.
Yeah, you are now at
Okay.
time. Okay, I'll put my arm up like this. All right.
Okay.
So the only thing that we all have to say after someone talks is thank you. We don't need to fix them. We don't need to offer feedback. We just say thank you. So everybody in the comments say thank you to Ocean for sharing his factual truth. Okay, so what did you all notice about this? Like, feel free to chat about it, because like a lot of times people are like, wow, the head is interesting, but maybe there's not a ton of depth there, right? This is kind of how people sound at networking events. They're like, where are you from? What do you do? And we stay in this very factual based truth. That's totally fine. It's totally good, actually, because this is building trust. Because what we're doing is we're really explaining context. We're giving people context about where we come from and how they should relate to us. So it's important, but here's the thing. We don't want to get stuck there. So we're going to do this second round. This is the heart. Now, as leaders, remember I said before, have the ability to move between the 3 because we have that awareness. And so let's say you're in a conversation, maybe even in the holidays with your family, maybe it's just feeling really surface and shallow. Go first, be the leader, drop into that heart and see what happens, because guess what? People are going to meet you there. So here we go. We're going to do another minute here. And I would love for you all in the comments, how do you feel? That is the question that both Ocean and I are going to be asking while both of us are talking. We're going to put our hands on our hearts. You can even do the same at home or wherever you're at. Play along. So what do you feel? I'm going to take a deep breath and close my eyes, because this is a constant moving thing, right? How we feel. I feel excited to be here. I love doing events, especially when Ocean's involved. I love doing cool things with my friends. I love making new friends. I also love learning. And so just kind of being a fly on the wall during this training this week is just so fun. I also, at the same time, I sometimes struggle with what's going on in the world and how people treat each other, and how a lot of times kindness is not as present as I would like it to be. And I really want a world that my children can be themselves and feel safe. And I want that for your children as well. But I feel hopeful. I feel hopeful that as humanity, we're gonna figure it out. And I think that organizations like FRN are so important to do that. So thank you.
All right. My turn. I'm feeling really touched by being in a space where feelings are valid,
Mm.
where it's okay to feel honestly. I'm feeling how much of my life I'm driven by my mind, by like my agendas, my goals, and sometimes that can actually be a way of getting a bit of space from fear of suffering. Um, so I'm just feeling like what it does, how relieving it is to be okay with pain, you know?
Mm.
Um, I'm a dad and my kids are going through the ups and downs of life. And, our son Bodhi was locked in his room for a couple of days by himself. I mean, he chose to lock himself in his room for a couple of days because he was just going through a tough spot and
Mm.
wanted to work it out on his own. And it's just sad to see my kids going through that. And yet I know he's learning. Um, so I'm just feeling how grief and pain are part of life. And if we're going to love, we've got to be willing to feel that
Mm.
pain too.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Okay. I'm just like letting all that land. And I know, especially this year for you and your dad, it's just
Yeah.
extra feelings.
Yeah. Like there's tears like right there all the
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
Yeah. And if I just could take a moment to just celebrate this for all of us, right? We don't have to stifle down what we feel. In fact, it's what makes people feel more connected to us. Thank you. I'm seeing the chat get all lit up. So thank you all for playing along with us. I feel so connected to you all as well. So put in what you're feeling if you haven't already. We're going to move on to the third and final round here. Then we're going to put it all together and figure out our word. So we've identified the factual truth. We've also identified the emotional truth. This last round is our desire-based truth. This is our core. This is our belly here. This is what we'll be touching during this round. So this is what you want. Now, here is my invitation to you all. In this exercise, get bossy. Say what you want. Say what you always dreamed of. Do you want to be a coach? Do you want to be a six-figure coach? Do you want to be a coach that changes lives and heals bodies? Like, get after it, claim it. Like, because here's what happens. So many of us think that by saying what we want in the world, by sharing our desire-based core truth, that we're making other people smaller or we're taking something away from them. It's actually the complete opposite. As someone who has run this exercise probably 1,000 times, it is contagious. When people say what they want, other people are like, yeah, I want that too. And then they want what they want. And it's just so good. So let's be more brazen about really claiming what that is that we want. So I'll begin now. All right. I want to have a great vegan Thanksgiving and not embarrass myself. I want to our families are coming together for the first time for this first holiday, myself and my partner. And it's, I just want everyone to connect and to really enjoy the holiday. I want my book that's coming out in May to be a huge hit, maybe even bestseller. That would be super awesome. I want to change a lot of lives through the simple power of authenticity and making it simpler for people to get their heads around it and to radically own their full truth. And I want for you, Ocean, just nothing but joy and love and friendship and support from your community as you navigate this year. And everybody in the chat, everybody who's watching, I want for you all whatever it is you want. Okay. So, all right. What do you want, Ocean?
All right. I want a world that's guided by love. I want a sustainable future for our species. I want us to be kind to animals. I want animals out of all of the factory farms. I want children to live in peace, to be able to play safely in the streets and in the parks. I want people, regardless of their economic background, to have freedom and opportunity and mobility. I want people to have health. I want people to know how to make the choices that will empower their lives. I want more love in this world and less pain. I want freedom. I want integrity. I want to claim integrity in my own life in this world of marketing and AI and all of the stuff out there. I want to be more human than ever. I want to use my dad's death to deepen me, to make me a better person.
Mm.
And I want to help other people to live lives of meaning.
Oh, yes. Who else wants that, right? This is beautiful. This is beautiful.
Yeah.
One other thing that I want for each and every one of you is that you start fully claiming this. And I think one of the easiest ways to do that is to give you tools. And so I'm going to share my screen real quick. This is a worksheet that I've given the team at FRN, and they're welcome to share this with you in any capacity. There is nothing crazy to this worksheet. It just allows you, when you're feeling confused, you're feeling like you're at a crossroads, you're wondering what to do next, you need to have a hard conversation, you need to be on a panel like this and maybe share some remarks, just figure out your subject matter and write out what you think, what you feel, what you want. And it's just an absolute game changer. So you all get a link to that if you would like to do that. But, the beautiful thing about all three of these things is that they lead you to a bigger truth. And they can be summarized into one word. And so I have to say, like, my one word, especially after going through all three of those truths, my word is authentic. I just want a more radically honest and loving and real and true world. And so when I'm talking about things like bringing our family together for Thanksgiving for the first time and things like that, I just want people to be real. And because what I've seen in my line of work, having done over 1,000 of these private sessions of digs, like, I fall in love with every person that I dig, because you cannot hear somebody's whole life story and not love them. I think it's almost impossible. Like, at least it hasn't happened for me. So that would be my one word. And the power of one word is that you can infuse that both into your internal talk to yourself. Like, hey, how real do I want to be today? Well, I choose authenticity. So I'm going to be full on real, like, get ready, world. And, but it also can be translated into how we introduce ourselves, how we talk about ourselves. If you just kind of infuse this frequency, in my case of authenticity, most people after they meet me, they'll be like, yeah, that girl's definitely not perfect, but she's genuine. like I'm out there. And I take that as a huge compliment. How about you, Ocean? What would you say your one word is?
Right now it's presence.
Mm.
Like, I want to be in the moments. I want to inhabit the moments that I exist in. I don't know how long I've got on this earth, but I want to be here, to meet moments, to meet people, to think things I've never thought before, to feel things I've never felt before, to remember you never step in the same river twice. And we can get acclimated into autopilot so often. I can anyway. And I miss living. I don't want to miss more moments than I need to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's so beautiful about this? And I'm curious what everybody at home thinks. Like, what one word do you think of? When you think of Ocean Robbins, what is that one word that comes through in all his emails, in his activism? I mean, presence for sure. Love. I know a while back, did you all catch Ocean's TEDx talk? If you haven't watched that, you need to go out there and watch it, because it is so good. And I know when we went back, when you were creating that, we talked about it, and just, you were talking about how much joy and happiness it brings you to like do this work. And so people feel it, even if you don't say the word. Like, are you all feeling Ocean's presence today? Like, do you feel like he's multitasking a bunch of stuff? He's not. Like, he is here with you, giving to you. So I just think that's really, really beautiful. And now I want to ask you all at home too, what would you say is your word? After having listened to this whole exercise, maybe you've been expressing your truth. What is that one word? What is your why? Why are you here? You're spending a bunch of hours this week with these amazing human beings learning about this incredibly important topic. Why? What's behind it? Is it about nourishment? Is it about love? Is it about health? Is it about longevity? Is it about vitality? Is it about connection? I'm looking at some of the chat here. Change, love, empowerment, compassion, courage. Yes. Woo, I'm getting chills. Thank you for playing along, everybody. I know we have a few minutes left. I wanted to keep it open for Q&A, but right before I end this part of it, I just wanted to share a quick story. This is just a story to remind us that, again, as leaders, and even if you don't identify like that at the moment, I feel that for all of you, the fact that you're even here and wanting to learn about all this stuff, like, you're a leader, even if it's just in a one-on-one capacity. But as leaders, we have to go first sometimes. the world isn't always going to meet us here. The world isn't always going to rise up from a place of truth. Okay. There's a lot of fear out in the world. So you got to go first. And it reminds me of this time. I had a friend who was going through cancer a few years ago, and she was my sorority sister. And this is actually a different sorority sister than my other one who unfortunately was murdered. But anyway, she was going through cancer. Her name was Ruthie, and she loved Wonder Woman. And it was so fun because we just created this Facebook group, and we were just rooting her on as she's going through chemo and all of her holistic treatments she was doing. And it was just so beautiful. But one day I was going to take her to chemo. And so I thought it would be funny, like without thinking this through very much, I thought it'd be funny if I just showed up at her, like to pick her up for her chemo appointment dressed full on as Wonder Woman. Okay. I dabble in the cosplay. Okay. Nothing weird, just, anyway, so I show up. So basically I'm on my way to her house, and then her husband calls. He's like, "Hey, would you pick up like some Starbucks for Ruthie? Because like, that's her favorite." And so I'm realizing like, of course I'm going to do that, but I am dressed like full on as Wonder Woman, and it's a Friday morning, and the only Starbucks nearby is like in a corporate business park. And so I'm realizing that at 9 a.m. on a Friday morning, I have to walk in the Starbucks dressed as Wonder Woman, like full on. And it was just definitely one of those moments where you're sitting in the car and you're like, am I really going to do this? Is this really happening right now? And I'm like, yes, it is. Because how real do you want to be? Right. So I walk in there, I'm doing my best Linda Carter, and everybody, it's like a record screeching moment. Everybody's like, rah, rah, like, who is this person? What is happening? I order my coffee. Everybody's like whispering and pointing and laughing, and it's like all in good fun. But I get to the end, I'm waiting for my drinks to be made. And this little woman comes up to me. She goes, "Honey, I just have to know why you're dressed like this." Like I could tell she was from the South. And I had a moment where I'm like, do I tell the truth? Do I tell the full truth? Right? Does she really want to hear my truth? Maybe y'all can relate to that. Does she really want to hear that I'm picking someone up to go to chemo? Or is that too much? And, but I decided, I was like, someone's got to go first. So I said, you know what? I have a great friend. Her name is Ruthie. She's going through chemo. She loves Wonder Woman. So today I'm picking her up dressed as Wonder Woman, and she had a coffee order. So I deliver. So here we go. And that woman, she just grabbed my hands and she said, "Honey, you will never know what that just did for me." And she turned around, she walked out. And I have no idea who this woman was, where she was going, what that meant to her. But because I went first, hopefully that set a ripple so that she actually caused that for other people too. She gave people more permission to be themselves, to tell the truth, even when it's not great. So anyway, just wanted to leave you with that story. You got to go first.
Yeah. And there's something so profound in that, I think, about how sometimes it's our humanity, it's our empathy that lands for people most deeply, not having the right perfect words, not being like, we want to lift people up, maybe we want to inspire them, but sometimes we also need to connect with them. And really what I love about your model, Erin, one of many things I love about it is that you're making space for all three. And folks, I think some of us lovey type people think that the heart's the best thing, and the head and the core are like, if you're attached to your desires, Buddhism teaches us about non-attachment, and others of us think, oh, the head has gotten us into all this trouble, but we need all three, right? We need strategy, we need clarity, we need articulation, we need words, we need context, we need structure, but we also need connectivity, resonance, emotional presence. And then at our core, our gut doesn't have to be like attachment in a way that brings suffering. It can be conviction, it can be courage, it can be purpose, it can be what really moves us. Why are we here? And the integration of those three is so powerful. And sometimes we get stronger in all of them when we focus on any one of them, and then notice, where are we connecting from? So I just love these tools. So powerful. Thank you. And so many beautiful responses in the chat today. People just deeply moved. I know I am. Thank you, Erin, for your wisdom and your leadership. And again, your book, tell us again, when does your book come out? May, right?
May 19th, 2026.
May 19th to be precise. All right. And the title again?
It's just one word.
Just one word. Okay. All right, well, we've gotten a taste of that today. Erin, thank you so incredibly much. It's been a joy to share this time with you.
Yeah.
And thank you for sharing these principles with us, which have been so grounding for all of us today.
Yes.
We did have one question. Are you teaching what could be called mindfulness? That's an interesting perspective.
I think that is a good way to say it. I don't claim to be a mindfulness expert, but I think the more dropped in we are to that frequency, the more mindful we become. The one thing we do every week, if you're liking this one word play, please, you can check out my website at erinweed.com. I have a Substack where we have a free newsletter every week where we just pick a word of the week. And we practice just trying on that word. I tell a story. So join us with this. It's a really fun way to live and a more mindful way to live.
Beautiful. All right, friends. Now we want to show you what happens when people live a clarity of purpose. We've just focused on honing that one word. Now let's talk about what happens when we're living, because it's one thing to discover your why, and then it's another thing entirely to step into it, to actually do the work and serve others and let your purpose guide your life and your career. And that's what you're about to see. So I'm thrilled to bring forward now someone very special to Food Revolution Network and to our plant-based coaching certificate students, a friend of mine for more than 2 decades, Coach Makini Duewa. Makini is a national board certified health and wellness coach, a childbirth doula, and an educator. And for more than 2 decades, she has led wellness initiatives and community programs across the United States. Her mission is to end preventable chronic disease through coaching, education, and advocacy. She is also our plant-based coaching certificate coach mentor, which means she walks alongside our students as they step into their purpose and build their coaching practices. So today, Makini is going to host a special panel of plant-based coaching certificate alumni who are living proof of what becomes possible when you marry purpose with practice. Their stories are honest, inspiring, and deeply human. Makini, welcome. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Ocean. Hello, everyone. So good to be here. And I'm thinking that my word for today is purpose. Also gratitude. Can I slip in 2 words? Is that possible?
You can do whatever you want.
I'm so moved already, and I am so excited to share today with you a group of amazing people who lead with purpose. And to begin this segment, I love to share a story that shows what's possible when someone steps fully into their power and embraces the role of coach and lives with purpose. So let's take a look at one of our amazing alumni, Craig Wallace.
Well, my purpose is to help people. I want to help people. I want to help people to heal themselves, as I have. And through that, not only heal themselves, but heal the planet. That's my purpose. My name is Craig Wallace. I'm from Harrisburg, PA, actually a little suburb called Summerdale, and I'm 62 years old, about to be 63 next month. I came from being an engineer for 35 years, had some heart issues, and when I was having these heart issues, when I asked the doctors, why did my blood pressure go up from the 120s to the 160s? And what they told me was, well, we wish we could tell you that, but we see that a lot in people your age. And then we watched a food summit from FRN. And I was sitting in the living room watching one of the coaching summits, and it was just hitting me. I think I want to do this, because I'd watched a documentary called Forks Over Knives, and there was a doctor there, Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn, and he said that if you have heart disease, it is a toothless tiger that need not progress. And in fact, with some diet and lifestyle changes, you could reverse. And after going through all these tests and the doctor telling me, hey, we really wish we could tell you that, that was the first I'd ever heard that. And it really got me kind of, pumped. And I went cold turkey the next day. So I go on this diet. It had to be an oil-free, whole food, plant-based diet. It was pretty amazing. Because literally my blood pressure had gone from the 120s to the 160s in 3 or 4 weeks. And literally in 7 to 10 days, my blood pressure dropped to 90/40. And now I'm thinking, do I need to go to the ER? Is it too low? I have an electronic blood pressure tester that I took into my doctor's office for them to approve. And I track my blood pressure almost every day. And they just gave me these 10, 20, and 30 milligram tablets. They're in the cupboard. So I stopped taking the 30s and I started taking the 20s. And my blood pressure went back up and balanced out where it should be. As I stayed on the diet, in another 7 to 10 days, my blood pressure was down around 90/40 again. So I just did the same thing. I stopped taking the 20s and I started taking the 10s. And literally in another 7 to 10 days, it was down around 90/40 again. So we had our my girlfriend's mother and father over for dinner, and he looked at me and he goes, "What are you taking the medicine for?" And after 35 years taking medicine, I was a little hesitant to go off it, but I couldn't stay on it. My blood pressure was too low. So I went off the medication altogether. I was losing weight. Everything Dr. Esselstyn said would happen was happening. I became really passionate. I got to tell someone about this. What has PBCC coaching done? It's giving me the avenue, the education, and the experience to go out and to talk to people with heart disease and other chronic conditions, or either people just want to lose weight, and help them do that. And that's been interesting too, because as an engineer for 40 years, 35 years, my job was to fix things. I thought that when I became a coach, that I was going to fix people. And the very first coaching class, I threw that out the door. They said that we were not supposed to give advice. And I'm going, okay, how's this going to work? And it was all about active listening, because most people know what they need to do. There's underlying things, and there's a lot of people that just don't have the space to talk to somebody. It's really cool how it's all laid out, but that's what I want to do. In my own small way, I want to be an advocate for plant-based eating, to save animals, to save our oceans, to save the planet, and however I can do that in my own small way. Before I started this journey, I was actually a vegetarian, but I didn't see any changes in my health at that point. I was still taking all the medications. It wasn't until I gave up all the oils and went whole food plant-based and stopped eating all the processed stuff, because I used to love the Beyond Burger, but there's so many chemicals and fats and oils and all that stuff that you become what's called junk food vegan. But being whole food plant-based vegan, and again, modeling that for other people, that's where I think I'm making a big impact, because I'm showing other people that you don't have to take all these medications. You can do it with diet. And you can be successful with losing weight. I lost 40 pounds over the course of 6 months, and I was eating as much as I wanted to. The doctors really aren't taught a lot about nutrition and healthy eating in school. They're taught how to treat diseases, what medications to prescribe, and so forth, and not necessarily how to prevent disease. And it's made me want to change myself for the better and do the right thing, because words can also heal. That they can hurt, but they can heal, and that's one thing that's so cool too with these classes, by just getting people that space and listening to them and reflecting their words back to them and saying the right words. We can heal as well.
Thank you for watching that spotlight and getting a glimpse into Coach Craig's journey. It's so powerful. And our discussion topic today is purpose. And I'm delighted and honored to introduce Craig once again, along with 3 more graduates of the Plant-Based Coaching Certificate Program. And each of them is bringing purpose and meaning into their lives through the work of coaching. And I know these panelists will inspire you with real stories about how they're living into their purpose and transforming lives, including their own, by helping others thrive with the power of plants and the power of curiosity, like we learned with Tracy earlier today. And and so whether or not they are guiding clients through health challenges, building values-driven career, or finding deeper fulfillment in their work, we get to explore how they've discovered the connection between who they are and what they do, and what it means to step into this calling as a plant-based health and wellness coach. So please join me in welcoming live Craig Wallace, Ashley Katz, Janet Johnson, and Amanda Sanchez. And this slide will show again at the end. If you want to take a screenshot or remember who these amazing humans are, we will show this again at the end as well. Welcome, everyone. So good to see you.
Thank you, McKinney.
These are my peeps, our amazing alumni. It's an honor to be with all of you today. We don't have a lot of time, do we? So I am going to dive right into the first question. And just so all of you know, I'm going to give you all a moment to answer this very first question because it really is at the heart of what we're talking about today, which is purpose. And so the first question is, what moments or experiences inspired you to coach? And how did you know you wanted to help others with their health and well-being? Okay, and I think I'm going to start today with, we heard from Craig so well, so I'm gonna finish up with you. I would like to start with Amanda.
Yeah, thank you, McKinney. It's so good to be here, and Craig, so good to see you again.
Good to see you.
As far as, my answer to this question, I came from a background of food addiction, and I would call myself a junk food junkie. Craig kind of mentioned it a little bit in his video that the weight of feeling like I couldn't choose anymore what I wanted to eat because the cravings were too powerful or the emotions were overcoming me, and that was a weakness that I had. But it wasn't just, coming from this place of food addiction. It was in a way like spiritual addiction too, because I was eating through my mind. I was consuming social media chronically. I was doing all of these things that were sort of feeding this side of me that I wasn't, what just wasn't helping me to be my best self. And when I went through a 12-step program for food addiction recovery, we always would repeat in step 12 that having had a spiritual awakening, which my journey was very much spiritually based, and I relied heavily on my faith to overcome the habits that I was working on with my food and elsewhere in my life. But we would repeat chronically this 12th step that says, having had a spiritual awakening, we try to carry this message of recovery to others. And so as I started to experience that awakening for myself, and I also lost weight. I feel like I lost emotional and mental weight through changing what I ate, and it really led me to this desire that in this surrendered state, I wanted to carry this message on to others in whatever capacity that would look like. And it ended up being that coaching really was the best next step for me to have that avenue to practice my recovery while also helping others who, like me, were struggling with processed foods.
Thank you, Amanda. Perfect. Yeah, I love how we're still in it. It's not a mountaintop experience. We are going through these experiences and living them and using them to support others. And I love that. Thank you so much. And next, how about you, Janet?
Thank you, McKinney. It's great to be here with you all today. To answer that question, I think helping others, it's who I am. It's who I was raised to be in church and in Girl Scouts and by my parents, and later as a Girl Scout and Cub Scout leader. I was an RN for 43 years. It's been my life helping others. So when I retired from nursing, after helping to educate people, patients, on how to eat for and live with their disease processes for all those years, I was looking for a way to make a difference. And now, through plant-based coaching, I get to be a change maker and inspire others to help people learn how to eat to prevent and reverse disease. And some of the ways I accomplish this are by being a private coach, and also through a Healing Strong group I'm a leader of, where I help people who are on their cancer journey and people who want to prevent cancer, and with all the non-toxic healing lessons. And through my Facebook group, Food for Next Level Health, and with tips and recipes, and by teaching Food Label Reading 101 in the community. Oh, and by the way, my one word is service.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, powerful, powerful. I don't want to take any more time. I want to go straight to Ashley. How about you?
Yeah, so I have epilepsy, and there was a point when I reached, I was having 6 seizures a day, and that became my day, it became my life. It was really everything, and I liked who I was. And the doctors were telling me, well, we'll just cut a chunk of your brain out, and we'll see if that works. But we don't really know where your seizures are coming from. So we'll just try it. And if it doesn't work, we'll just cut another chunk of your brain out and see if that works. And I didn't really love this option. Go figure. Um, and that was like their only solution, other than, well, we could try something else that probably won't work. Medication didn't work for me. It never worked for me. I can't, I'm one of those people who can't even take Tylenol or NyQuil because I have side effects from that. So I call myself the side effect queen. Um, and there are just people like that in the world, right? And I know because I've lived that my whole life. And the seizure medications just give me so many side effects, and I feel terrible. It's like worse than having seizures. So for me, I knew there was something better out there. I didn't know what it was, and I was on a journey and I was searching, and I finally found somebody said, "Well, why not go to a nutritionist and just see if." And I was like, "Well, I'm already eating healthy." And I feel like many of us probably think we're eating healthy, and we don't know what healthy is. Like, right, I was eating granola bars, and I was eating, fruit roll-ups. I was also eating vegetables, and not too many processed foods, but we live in a processed food world. When I went to a nutritionist, I slowly started having less and less seizures and getting my life back. And I was like, oh, okay. Huh. I need to become a nutritionist because I got my life back. And I was like, and they told me when I went, they said, we don't know anything about epilepsy at all. What we know about is inflammation. And so I changed my diet, I changed my lifestyle, and everything changed. And I started to become me again. And it took time and it took a lot of effort. And I didn't have a coach, right? I had a nutritionist who said, do this, do this, do this. And so I took that nutritionist training and I became a functional nutritionist. And then I signed up for the vegan health coaching, and I learned that there was a way to empower my clients. And I was like, oh man, imagine if someone had empowered me instead of just told me what to do. Wouldn't that have been amazing? And I learned that I could empower my clients and not just tell them, not just give them a list of like, okay, here are the 3 things you're going to do this week. Because while that works, while you have a coach who's not really a coach, who's really while you have your nutritionist, you can do those 3 things, but it's not sustainable. It's not a lifelong, it's not something you're going to keep doing. And so that is when things really clicked, where I was like, oh, put them in the driver's seat, let them change their life forever. And it helped me to change my life forever too, because I started to go, oh, okay, like what if I was, because I'm not working with a nutritionist anymore. I am the nutritionist. So I need to empower myself to keep changing my life on a continuous basis and keep making my life better. And so that's what empowered me to I was already working with clients, but I was like, this is sustainable for me as a coach and sustainable for my clients forever.
Thank you, Ashley. Yeah, someone mentioned in the chat, I found my tribe. And, just hearing your stories, it's just so powerful. I'm just so grateful that you guys are in the world and you had the experiences that you had, and that your decision was to follow that calling, not just for yourself, but to bring it forward. To like what you just said, Ashley, to help put other people in the driver's seat so that they can change their life forever with that empowerment. Okay, and last but not least, I want Craig to get to share, and we just watched your amazing spotlight video, but I'm just wondering if you have just a small thing to add about, what brought you to this role of a coach.
Well, yeah, well, again, pretty much everything you saw in that video. And if I went on, the oil-free whole food plant-based diet, if that wouldn't have worked, I wouldn't be here. But it did work in a powerful way. And I come from a family, a history of heart disease. I lost my dad at 47. He had a cardiac arrest at dialysis. My mother had cancer, and I lost her a couple of years ago, with lung cancer. So who doesn't know somebody that has heart disease, or cancer, or diabetes, or needs to lose weight? Uh, and I had no idea how comprehensive it was, meaning that it wasn't just people's health, but it was the planet, it was animals, it was just so much, so wide reaching. But really, the fact that that worked for me, I just felt like I had to get the word out to help others. I was at a restaurant one day and I got a text from my best friend, who was my best man when I got married. He said, "Hey, I joined your club." I'm like, "What's he mean he joined my club?" But here he was in the hospital. He was having problems with his heart, so yeah, but that's why.
Thank you. Thank you. Got it. Yeah, I actually come from a similar background, which is when Ocean shared shared just a brief bio. Part of why I want to heal and support and help others support preventable lifestyle diseases, because most of my family has heart disease. My father's brothers, many of them have passed, and yeah, it's a huge transformation to realize that what you're putting in your mouth and how you're living can make a difference. So, all right. Thank you guys for sharing your purpose, sharing what brought you into this work. And so next question. Looking back at your coaching so far, can you share a favorite client success story that stands out to you and why it holds special meaning for you? And I think I will start with Ashley.
Okay. So I was going through like a Rolodex and I was like, oh my gosh, there's so many good ones. But I started my career as a teacher. So one of the reasons I really wanted to coach, and one of the things that really like has always gotten to me, is I see kids and I see how sick they are, and I see all the effects of the bad diets have on kids, and I see it day in and day out. And so one of the kids that I coached, he is an 8th grader, and he's really small, and he wants so desperately to be um, able to play sports in high school. But he's just tiny, and he hasn't gone through puberty the way all of his other like colleagues. That's not the right word. All the other kids have, right? They're just bigger and stronger, and he basically came to me and was like, his parents were like, what can he do to have a leg up? And I was like, well, what is he eating? Well, it turns out he doesn't eat vegetables because he just doesn't like them. And so his parents just stopped offering them years ago because he just said no. And so he eats some fruits, but no vegetables, and only foods that he likes, which is mostly McDonald's chicken nuggets and macaroni and cheese. And so I got the chance to talk to him about whole food, plant-based, but also eating foods that were healthy. And what does healthy look like? And how does it affect your body? And what would he like to do to, improve his health? And he talked to me about like, I mean, like, what would vegetables actually do for me? Like, what would I do? Like, what would that, like, I don't know, like, so we kind of made some lists about like what would you want to do to up level your health? What do you think might help? And he talked about sleeping more, and he talked about eating healthier, and he talked about he didn't even know what a lot of the vegetables were called because his parents used squeezy pouches for their vegetable intake. They didn't use whole foods. because it was easier because their kids weren't eating vegetables anyway. So, but working with him, he was like, yeah, I'd be willing to like try different vegetables and see what that looked like. And because he was an eighth grader, we were able to talk about him going into the kitchen and trying out different methods of cooking and what would he be interested in trying on the weekends to work with his mom. And he started talking to me about how, man, I feel so much better. I have so much more energy and I'm able to run faster. I'm able to run longer. I don't have any more cramps. I have so much more energy that like I'm able to keep up with the other kids better. And it actually ended up bringing more vegetables into his whole family's home, um, which was really exciting because now his parents are eating vegetables, his younger siblings were eating vegetables. Um, and so it ended up increasing the health of his entire family. And I think that's one of the fun parts about coaching too, is that when you increase the health of one family member, and it's usually the mom, but not always. Um, in this case, it was a kid who was inspired and it increased. I mean, the parents have to support the kids, right? The kids can't do it on their own because somebody has to grocery shop for them. But it was really inspiring because he had a goal. He talked about it. And then the mom was like, wait, you like eating healthier? Okay. What else are you willing to try? What's that vegetable called? Like she didn't have as much awareness and it brought awareness to the whole family and it was really inspiring and it, like I said, it up leveled the health of the whole family. So it was pretty incredible. And now he is just he's a lot better at his sport and his confidence level is just so much higher that he feels like more capable and more able to keep up with the other kids despite his size. And he also increased his muscle because he's able to practice more and lift more weights and all of the things that he was able to meet his goals. So,
Yeah. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you. I mean, we were just hearing about and talking about the power of that ripple effect. And, that is the amazing gift of being a coach is that it doesn't just stop right there with the person in front of you. It supports the whole family. It supports the people who they're talking to. And that's a powerful story. And I love that he's such a young person. We don't always feel like we have the time to figure out better ways to do things. And sometimes it's just information or awareness. And yeah, that's what I really love about your story is that you're able to support, educate, and listen. So thank you. Thank you again. I think I'll move on and we're moving right along here. So we're going to keep our answers as concise as possible. But I would love to hear your thoughts, Craig.
I had a client that had recently gotten out of the hospital, and she told me that she had stopped taking her medications. But the problem was she wasn't maintaining her diet. She had done the Gerson therapy and didn't believe in putting chemicals into her body. And she loved to cook and would always cook enough for, neighbors. She would take leftovers to neighbors and so forth. And she moved around a lot too. And when she was home, she was pretty good at staying on her diet. When she moved away from home, she told me she didn't have her tools, which was her kitchen and her cooking appliances and all that kind of stuff. So she would get off her diet and she loved to eat cheese and would sometimes make a meal out of cheese. And she had a sweet tooth too. Um, so she would gain weight, 20, 30, 40 pounds. And then she would go back home, get back on her diet, do well. She would lose the weight. So her weight was constantly yo-yoing back and forth. And, I'm very spiritual. And if I can, I like to try to bring that into my coaching sessions. I'll ask the individuals if they're spiritual and so forth. And I asked her, and, she was a spiritual person. And she was, but she said she wasn't a Christian. She practiced a Sikh religion. And so that she meditated and even went over to the Middle East, to practice over there. And that one of their core beliefs was that they were not supposed to hurt anybody or anything in any way. So I was just active listening to her talk. And when she was done, I reflected that back to her. And I said, you told me that you practice a Sikh religion, and one of your core beliefs is that you're not supposed to hurt anyone or anything. And she said, yeah. And I said, well, have you ever thought about the damage that you're doing to your own body and your health by not staying on your diet? And she just looked, got quiet for a minute. And then she goes, oh, that's good, because she was not applying that philosophy to herself at all. And in subsequent sessions, then, just that helped her to stay more on track, and so yeah, that was pretty cool. There's just power in active listening and reflecting stuff back to people what they say. So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Craig. Yeah, the power of curiosity as a coach is it is everything. It is life-giving, and the awareness that comes from that. We can't have those kind of moments, right, without listening and being curious and creating that connection and that safe space with our clients. So beautiful, beautiful. Moving right along. Let's see. Amanda, do you just have a little something to add? And then we'll wrap up with our last question.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, similarly to what Ashley said, it's hard to choose, right? Because you learn something from every client that you have, and every transformation, big or small, is unique. I would say, I would say I have two, and they'll be quick ones. My first favorite client is the first client I ever had. I've been coaching for just going on 5 years, so not a long time, but it was just a year after having had my own personal transformation that I started sharing my story, and people would come to me and say, will you help me? And at the point that time, I had no certifications. I didn't even know how to be a coach. I just had a desire to help. And this first client who was just like, yep, you're the one, let's do this. And I coached her for 6 months, and she followed all of the guidelines I could give her from what I had experienced myself. It probably was a little bit more like an advice approach than it was actual coaching, but she had a transformation. She not only experienced, weight loss of 30 plus pounds, whatever she was looking to do, but also became more grounded in her daily practices, became more spiritual, felt more connected to the people in her life who mattered to her because of the power of how food influences the way that we live. And she is one that I just always go back to as my journey kind of, takes a roller coaster through life, where I remember that just showing up is enough, because as you go on as a coach and you get those certifications and you get more experience, it still can sometimes get in your head and make you think like, oh, I don't know enough, or I need to know more about nutrition, or I need to know more about that before I can be, of help to anybody. And I think that's one of the biggest things that held me back in the beginning as well. And that first client who took a chance on me and had success reminds me that it really has nothing to do about me, right? Like, it is not about me in any way. And oftentimes just showing up is enough. My second favorite client, I would say, is me. Like, this coaching certification helped me to continually apply the tools that I learn as a coach to myself. And the better I get at coaching myself, the more I learn as well. So I would have to share that as a second.
I was muted. Thank you. I love that you're also one of your favorite clients as well. Thank you for adding that. Okay, folks, we knew this would go fast, and I know you've been thinking. I shared some of these questions ahead of time, and I want to pose the last question, but
Janet didn't get a chance to answer that one.
oh, she's about to answer the next one. And as we wrap up, I want to start with you, actually, Janet, okay? And this one is, so let's see if we can wrap up our questions with like the most, like what we learned in the section before this, but what do we most want and wish more people understood about the power of coaching? What is the one thing that you would say?
Well, McKinney, I think ultimately the coach's role is to help the client become self-aware, self-activating, like actually take action on their goals, and self-correcting. It's a deep and enriching relationship for both parties. And there's so many aha moments along the way.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. What about you, Amanda? What's the one thing you would add?
Yeah, I'm going to borrow a concept from Stephen Pressfield, who's an author, and he wrote this book called The War of Art. And he describes how each of us has this unlived life within us. And I have found from my own experience that that unlived life is always on the other side of fear and resistance. And I really believe that a coach's role is someone who can come in and take that walk with you and help you to take those steps to face that resistance, to overcome that fear in a way that brings voice to that unlived life so that you start to listen to it yourself, right? It's not always about having a coach for the rest of your life, but what you can learn in that relationship to begin to exercise that muscle for yourself, to start to listen to that voice that wants to come out of you and be lived. And I think coaching has shown me that that is possible. And sometimes you just need, a companion to do it with.
Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you. What's one thing you would add, Ashley?
Um, I feel like with a doctor, they kind of like the idea is that you go back forever, right? Like you're if you have a chronic disease, right? With a coach, the idea is that we teach you how to be your own advocate, and then you never need us again. And then if you have a friend, you can let them know about us. But our goal is that you don't need us anymore. And it's a beautiful relationship. And I've had clients say to me, "You're doing God's work." Like, and it's really fulfilling for us and for them. And if you're doing it right, that's the beauty of it, is that at the end of that relationship, like you feel really good and they feel really good. And it's a beautiful thing.
Thank you. Absolutely. And finally, any last thoughts quickly, Craig?
Yeah, just how powerful it can be. There's just so much powerful in giving someone the space to actively listen to them and reflect or reframe their thoughts back to them and make them aware of things that they know, but they're not conscious about on the surface. And just coming alongside somebody where they can trust you and they can be vulnerable and open up to you. I mean, we're teaching them about diets and so forth and how to be healthy and lose weight and so forth. But there's a lot of underlying factors a lot of times that are holding people back, and defeating them. And it just helps them to get through all that and attain their goals.
Thank you. Yeah. Beautiful, perfect, and wonderful. Everyone, thank you all for sharing such inspiring stories and powerful insights with us. I want to do a little check-in and yes, and share your slides. So guys, thank you for being with us. These are our coaches. You can take a screenshot perhaps, maybe with your phone. But Janet Johnson, Craig Wallace, Amanda Sanchez, and Ashley Katz are just four of a huge family and a huge tribe of amazing humans that join this movement, and we learn to do this beautiful work as coaches together. And I know there was potentially some Q&A, but I'm not sure if there's time, so I'm just gonna move on to see what Ocean or Tracy are thinking right now.
Oh, wow. I'm thinking that was amazing. I'm thinking that was beautiful. I'm thinking you all are incredible humans. And I just am moved by the humanity, by the depth, by the vulnerability, by the authenticity, by the courage of your stories, and the difference that you're making in people's lives now. I think that it's interesting to me how for many of us, pain, suffering, tragedy have often been catalysts for breakthrough and transformation. Not always, but for many of us, it is precisely because we know what it's like to feel pain and to suffer and to not know if we're going to live or die sometimes that we can be propelled to think outside the box, to be creative. And for those of us who have experienced healing or transformation or miracles of some kind in our lives, so often that becomes part of what moves us to want to give and serve and contribute to others. And you all are living examples of what it means to be in true generosity, you know, based on your own lived experiences. So thank you all so much, coaches Craig and Ashley and Janet and Amanda, and of course, Coach McKinney, for sharing your hearts and reminding us what really matters. Friends, you've just heard from some people who were once sitting where you might be right now, maybe feeling curious, maybe feeling called, maybe wondering, could this be for me? And now look at them living their purpose, transforming lives, making real money, doing work that really matters. That didn't happen by accident. It happened because they said yes to a calling they felt inside themselves. They invested in their own growth, and they stepped into training that gave them the knowledge and the skills and the confidence and the roadmap to make a difference. So if you've got a dream of helping change the way the world eats, if you want to help be a part of building a future where people make healthy choices that protect their lives, that protect the planet, that are kind to animals, if you would love to get paid doing meaningful work you really believe in, or if you just want some skills in nutrition or coaching that you can use in your own life and with the people that you care about, I want to invite you to explore Food Revolution Network's plant-based coaching certificate. Now, I know some of you are already feeling it, a certain pull, maybe a certain curiosity. If that's you, here's what you can do right now. Stay with us for the next 15 minutes. We're going to tell you more about what this program is. And stay with us throughout this workshop because you're going to learn a lot here about coaching and nutrition and how you can apply it all, and also about the plant-based coaching certificate. You can also book a free clarity call if you want to with one of our program advisors. I'm going to give out the URL here, and we can also post it in the chat. That's certificate.foodrevolution.org/calls, plural for call. So again, that's certificate.foodrevolution.org/calls. Maybe we can post it in the chat and on the broadcast page. This is a personal one-on-one conversation where you can talk through your goals and your questions and whether the training is right for you. And again, we'll drop that link in the chat now. You can also email us if you have more questions at certificate@foodrevolution.org. But stay with us now because we want to walk you through a little more about the program, what it is, and how it could be important in your life. And to help me do that, I'm joined again by the founding director and program manager for PBCC, Tracy Garrigan. Tracy, welcome back.
Thank you, Ocean. What an exciting event we've had so far. I'm absolutely overjoyed to share about the program. I've been doing this work for a long time, and I've seen a lot of other coaching programs. I've taken many, and I can honestly say that what we've pulled together here at Food Revolution Network is unlike anything else in the world. And time again, our students tell us that this program has been life-changing, not because they learned something, but because they became something. They gained the skills and confidence to become really effective coaches. They've experienced profound growth in their own health and their relationships and a real sense of purpose. And they stepped into work that lights them up every single day. We hear it almost daily. And that's why this training is so beloved. It's not just about information, it's about making transformation. So we're going to show you exactly how that works.
All right, and to do that, we're going to pull up some slides so you can see a little more about what the program is.
All right. So, yeah. Navigate the screens. If you see me looking to the side, I have another screen. So let me tell you what makes this program so unique and so comprehensive. First, we specialize exclusively in whole food plant-based eating. With more than a decade of expertise at FRN, we're leaning into exactly what we have learned about what people struggle with when they're trying to adopt this lifestyle, and we equip you to help them succeed. Second is our heart-centered approach to coaching that goes beyond telling people what to do and what to eat. As you saw today with our panel, real coaching is about helping other people follow through. It's about meeting them where they are and then guiding them to the next step on change. And third, we teach you how to make an impact. Whether that means building a business, attracting clients, securing a job, becoming a change maker in your community. This is not just a coaching certificate, it is a launch pad for purpose-driven work.
And as we've shared, our program is built on 3 pillars. Pillar 1 is nutrition, where you gain a rock-solid science-backed foundation in the science of healthy eating. Pillar 2 is coaching, where you learn about how to guide people through real lasting behavior change. And pillar 3 is impact, where you design your personal path, whether that's launching a business, working in a clinic, or leading change in your community. So going a little deeper into each of these. So the nutrition pillar is where you really get to learn how to answer the tough questions with confidence. How much protein do we really need? Which supplements matter and when, and how do you know? How do you help someone prevent or even reverse conditions like heart disease or type 2 diabetes or cancer? The pillar is so comprehensive that it's been reviewed by the Commission on Dietetic Registration and awarded 55 CPEUs for registered dietitians. You're going to cut through confusion and gain tools to help people transform health from the inside out. You'll also be guided by some of the brightest minds in plant-based nutrition, leaders like Nicole D'Andrea Russert, RDN, Brenda Davis, who you saw today, Dr. Michael Clapper, who will be with us, I believe, tomorrow, and Dr. Roman Pollock. They'll be with you on live calls and in our private student forum to answer questions and support your learning. And you'll also learn from some really extraordinary guest faculty, including Dr. Joel Furman, Dr. Mimi Guarneri, Dr. Christy Funk, Dr. Columbus Batiste, Dr. Susan Pierce Thompson, and dietitians James and Dahlia Marin. And this crew will guide you through essentials and nuances. You'll walk away with clarity and confidence and credible answers to the questions your clients will ask.
And pillar 2 is all about coaching. This is where the magic really happens. It's where you learn to guide transformation and not just talk about it. This pillar is so robust that PBCC has been approved for 24 CEs, CPD credits from the National Board for Health and Wellness Coaching, and also 24 CE CPD credits from the Continuing Professional Development Standards Office. That's a UK and international-based credentialing office. Real behavior change doesn't come from information alone. It comes from skillful, compassionate, applied coaching. And that's exactly what you're going to learn here. Lead faculty here will be myself, plus Dr. Howard Jacobson, Makini Duewa, who you met today, and Melinda Cohen, who you'll meet both Howie and Melinda over the next couple of days. And you'll also learn in our program from world-class leaders in the field like Margaret Moore, Erica Jackson, Elliot Connie, Nancy Stubbs, and a bunch of other experts who bring decades of experience in the science of behavior change. So you're going to learn powerful techniques like motivational interviewing, positive psychology, culturally sensitive coaching, nutrition coaching. You'll learn how to meet people where they are and guide them towards lasting, meaningful change. By the end of the pillar, you're not going to just understand coaching, you're going to be ready to do it with confidence and heart.
And that brings us to pillar 3, where we focus on impact. This is about bringing your vision to life. Now, this pillar is totally optional. You don't need it in order to get certified, but it's incredible. And we created 3 distinct pathways so you can take any of them or all of them. So the entrepreneurship pathway is led by Melinda Cohen. It's for anyone who wants to start or grow a coaching business. Melinda has helped tens of thousands of coaches get off the ground and thrive and make a living in the coaching field. We also have an employment track led by Teresa Keppel. It's for people who want to find work in clinical or wellness settings. They don't want to maybe run their own business, but they want to do this full-time or part-time. And then there's the Changemaker track, which is led by me and Leanna Levine Reisner. It's for people who want to create grassroots change through community education and advocacy. So wherever you want to make your mark, we'll help you chart the path to get there. And we're going to drop a link to the full curriculum in the chat on Zoom and also on the broadcast page. You can also visit certificate.foodrevolution.org to explore everything in detail. We really lay out the content and the journey. Next slide.
Okay, so a little bit about the program dates and structure. We start with welcome calls beginning January 13th, and your first week of lessons drop on the 26th. New lessons will roll out weekly for about 6 months, but you can move at your own pace. They are recorded lessons. And logistically, there is nothing physically mailed to you, but you'll have about 2 to 4 hours of on-demand content that comes in video, audio format. You get slides that go with it, transcripts, a full set of handouts and resources, all the cited research. And if you follow the recommended schedule that we roll out, it turns out to be about 5 hours a week, and that's including some live call options. Many students spread it out to fit their very full lives, and we support you until you cross the finish line. So there's no need to hold our schedule. Right from the start, you'll get a rebrandable toolkit with over 50 essential handouts and forms, everything you need to begin working with clients immediately. You'll also have unlimited access to our FRN plant-based data recipe database with more than 1,400 delicious proven recipes. To graduate, you'll complete open book midterm and final exams for pillars 1 and 2, nutrition and coaching. You have to pass those at 80% or higher. You can have unlimited retakes until you do. And the impact pillar, like Ocean was saying, is optional. There's no exam there. Even after you graduate, you keep unlimited access to all training materials. So you can return to them anytime you want. The live calls with our lead faculty are electric, as you can imagine. You know, if you saw Brenda's conversation or her presentation today, just imagine having 90 minutes of focused time with her to ask anything your heart desires. These are called deep dives, and you'll have one a month or one per module with lead faculty in both the coaching pillar and the nutrition pillar. Practice pods or the skill building sessions I mentioned, like workshop style, where you break out and you practice things with guidance in small groups. We have impact sessions, which come the second half of the course when we launch those impact collections. And you can explore your career path with Melinda Cohen and with Ocean and Liana Levine-Reisner and with Teresa Keppel, get live time with them all. And we also have monthly student support calls where you can just drop in for any reason at all, connection, guidance, encouragement, camaraderie. So lots of chances to really have a live experience, even though this is a hybrid style delivery.
The regular tuition price is $6,582 with our 6-payment plan, or $5,997 if paid in full. But because you're here with us today, you can enroll for a discount. You can save $1,000 off the regular pay in full price. That comes to $49.97, or basically $5,000, or $997 a month if you go with the payment plan for 6 months. And you'll get over $12,000 worth of bonuses when you enroll by the end of this workshop, and I think the day after this workshop also. This is when we have this special window. You'll get over $12,000 in bonuses, including unlimited access to Whole Life Club, which is FRN's ongoing membership community with 1,600 plant-based recipes and trainings and monthly action hours with renowned experts. And you'll get 2 years of Food Revolution Summit empowerment packages, the 2025 empowerment package, and the upcoming 2026 empowerment package when it comes out in April. You'll get FRN's 14-day plant-powered accelerator program and exclusive access to my Food Revolution Mastermind, which is 6 live monthly sessions where we dive into current topics and get to connect on a deeper level. You'll get the Next Level collection, which is expert interviews on scaling your reach, including podcasting and SEO and funnels and copywriting. So if ever you're thinking about growing a bigger business, or you want to even just brainstorm and learn about how that might happen, tune into this, because it's where I get to interview some of the top mentors that have inspired me. It's a free bonus that you get when you enroll, and an incredible way to get inspired and learn more. You'll also get a business growth training with Sage Levine. Actually, two of them. One is Make Money with Your Message. The other is Story Superpower. You're going to be hearing more from Sage on Thursday. And you get a free one-year listing in the Plantrition Projects directory as an FRN certified plant-based coach, which we will promote to our million members. It's a great opportunity to get business. Many of our coaches have gotten clients that way. And you'll get an accelerated and discounted path to board certification or advanced degrees through our partnership with Lifestyle Prescriptions University. You'll be hearing more from Johannes Fistlinger, their founder, tomorrow. And you'll get a bonus with the Coach's Console, a free month plus $100 off monthly membership on an ongoing basis with no setup fees or contracts. This is a specific software tool that Melinda Cohen developed to help coaches build their websites, manage clients, accept payments, grow their email lists, all in one simple place.
Okay, so how to join? Here's how to secure your spot. Submit a $100 deposit by Friday to hold this special deal. You'll get an email to fill out a short application. We'll review it, usually in a couple of days. And if you're accepted, your deposit goes towards your tuition. If not, we refund it in full. You can find all the details again at certificate.foodrevolution.org, and we will post that in the chat one more time.
We've been trying to answer questions as they've been coming up in the Q&A box, but I'll just address LT said since the course is self-paced, do the assessments happen on the same day for everyone? They are, the assessments are sent out at a certain time, but it's self-paced when you actually do the assessment. So if you write on course with everyone, a lot of people take them right when they're released, but some people wait months later. We still have some people, most people have fully completed from our prior years, but we still have some people that are catching up now because things happen in their lives and it's the content is still super valuable 6 months later, right? So that's totally an option for people. Someone also asked, is there a 1400 recipe book available to purchase? No, that would be a very long book, but we do have a number of books. Powered by Plants and Real Superfoods are our two most recent cookbooks that are available wherever books are sold. Okay, so let's move towards completion here because we're about at the end of the day. Y'all get some kind of award because we just hit 3 hours. We're going to wrap up now, and I just want to share a few closing words. So what I want you to know is that when you complete the plant-based coaching certificate, you will not just walk away with a beautiful piece of paper, though you will get that. You'll walk away transformed. You'll have a comprehensive education in plant-based nutrition that is grounded in the latest science and that's full of practical real-world applications. You're also going to get coaching skills that empower you to support lasting behavior change in a broad range of settings. You'll have the business and marketing know-how to attract and grow a steady stream of clients, and you will be a part of a supportive and mission-driven community. We could let go of the slides now, I think. You'll have unlimited access to tools and resources and connection with peers and faculty who are here to walk with you every step of the way. And here's what really matters. You will know in your bones that you are doing work that makes a difference, work that saves lives, work that helps to heal the planet, work that honors animals and future generations, work that lets you look in the mirror and say, I am living my purpose. That's what our alumni told you today. That's what's possible for you. So if you feel the call, we want to invite you to take that next step. You can book a clarity call. You can email us with your questions. You can submit your deposit and lock in your spot before end of day Friday so you can get all the discounts and bonuses. The world needs you. Whether you choose to enroll in the program or not, we are so glad you are here, and we want to work with you every step of the way to build a world that is worthy of the dreams that live in our hearts and the love that lives in our hearts. You know, today you heard Erin talking about discovering your one word, your purpose, your calling. You've heard from coaches who are living theirs. You've seen what might become possible when we marry clarity with action. So I just want to ask you as we wrap up today, what's stirring in you right now? If today's session has sparked something, if you're feeling a pull to be a part of changing the way the world eats, if you want to turn your passion for health into work that brings hope, healing, maybe transformation, then we invite you to take that next step with us. Enrollment for the plant-based coaching certificate is open now. The training only happens once a year. It's limited to 300 students, so we can offer the kind of personal and high-touch experience you deserve. So again, to apply, visit certificate.foodrevolution.org. We'll drop the link in the chat and on the broadcast page again now. Tracy, anything else you want to say as we move towards wrapping up?
No, I think that you have covered it all. Well, okay, I lied. I really want people to come back tomorrow because we have so much more to share. If today, lit a spark, tomorrow is going to fuel the fire, and we want you with us. So I hope to see everybody again tomorrow.
Yes, beautiful. Thank you all for showing up today and for being curious and for caring about this work. Tomorrow, day 2 is about the inner work, nutrition and self-care and coaching. You're going to learn how to make nutrition science simple and actionable with Dr. Michael Clapper. You'll discover how to meet clients where they are with compassion and skill from Dr. Howard Jacobson. And Johannes Fisslinger will show you how coaching brings lifestyle medicine to life in the real world. Plus, you're going to meet more inspiring alumni. It's going to be powerful, it's going to be practical, and you do not want to miss it. So rest well, reflect on what you've learned. Come on back ready tomorrow to go even deeper. The replay will be up as soon as we finish today. And thank you for being a part of this journey. If you're so inspired, you can go ahead and get in your deposit now for the plant-based coaching certificate. And we will see you all tomorrow. Have a beautiful day. Lots of love to all of you. Bless you and thank you. Food Revolution Network is a community of nearly 1 million people who are committed to healthy, ethical, sustainable food for all. We've sent 1 billion educational messages to activists and change makers in over 160 countries. Our online summits have reached more than 2 million. We've brought more than 300,000 people together for our campaigns for transparent food labeling and to get nutrition taught in medical schools. Worldwide, health and wellness is now a $1.5 trillion per year industry. Never before have so many people been fired up about enjoying a plant-based lifestyle. If you're passionate about helping other people make the transition from knowing what to do to doing what they know, you're in the right place. Join our thriving community as a Food Revolution Network certified plant-based coach. Together, we will help to change the way the world eats. You're going to learn about the fundamentals of plant-based nutrition.
Vegetables, fruits, legumes, calcium and iron, macronutrients, phytonutrients, controversies, and my greatest tips for how to make plant-based eating irresistible.
You'll find out about the art of strategic coaching to fuel behavior change.
A great coach does more than just tell people what to do.
How do you encourage intrinsic motivation?
Coaching is about meeting people where they are, co-creating a personalized plan for success.
And we'll look at proven strategies for making an impact. We want to help you not just make a difference doing good, but also to make a good living.
If you can develop a practice that consistently helps people on a path to health and wellness, you can change their life in an utterly profound way.
So if you want to get real skills in nutrition, coaching, and impact that you could apply in your own life, join us at Food Revolution Network's Plant-Based Coaching Certificate.